Governor Kawira Mwangaza is indeed watertight. Lawyers representing Meru Governor Kawira Mwangaza in her impeachment will be seeking to explain why the charges have no basis today. Remember, the team representing the assembly, led by lawyer Ndego Anjiru, already prosecuted their matter for the better part of yesterday, convincing senators, fielding their witnesses, a total number of 5, and trying to convince senators why the Meru County needs another county boss. Lawyers Elias Mutuma as well as Elisha Ongoya, in their opening statements last evening, that was on the 19th, that was Monday, claimed that MCAs had no fresh grounds to impeach the governor, and are in turn turning the Senate into a mockery, and urged senators to disregard the charges against Mwangaza, saying that the charges indeed have no basis. This is the third time that Mwangaza is facing the impeachment hearing before the Senate. Her impeachment charges have made their way into the Senate for the third time, but the governor has been impeached by the County Assembly of Meru for a record number 5 times. In the year 2022 and in the year 2023, the Senate voted to quash the impeachment against Governor Mwangaza. And as to whether that will take the same route today remains a matter of wait and see. It's about 6 p.m. Today. That matter will already have been deliberated on and voted upon. We'll be knowing which way Kawira Mwangaza by end of today. Away from the defense having termed the case by MCAs as just pathological lies, we will be expecting witnesses to be presented before the House this morning, where the defense will be convincing senators why what has been presented before them is what they termed as total lies. So the burden lies with the defense to prove to the Senate plenary this morning that indeed the 3 charges that Governor Mwangaza have been charged and the charges that she's facing have no grounds. The governor for Meru County was impeached by 39 members of the County Assembly against 17 on 3 grounds. The grounds are gross violation of the Constitution, gross misconduct, abuse of office. And when the members of the County Assembly presented their case before the Senate yesterday, there were basically 5 charges that came out from their representation, being the grounds upon which they want the governor for Meru County to be sent packing. In their submissions, members of the County Assembly, through their lawyers, alleged that Meru Governor Kawira Mwangaza illegally revoked the appointment of Virginia Miriti. This Virginia was serving as the secretary of the Meru County Public Service Board. This illegal revoking of the appointment, according to MCAs, was done without the approval of the County Assembly. The governor of Meru County, Governor Kawira Mwangaza, is also being accused by MCAs of refusing to implement the recommendations of the County Assembly. These recommendations pertains the dismissal of the county secretary, that is Kiambi Dhambura, and the chief staff Harrison Mbithi. The governor for Meru is also facing accusations regarding the irregular payment of emergency call allowances for 161 doctors and medical officers using wrong rates. And according to the members of the county assembly, that led to the loss of monies, being public monies, in excesses of 74.3 million shillings. Allow me to hand you over back to the chamber this morning. As we can see, the clerk is already taking counts in regards to whether the quorum has been achieved, and we'll be getting the directives from the speaker in regards to how we will be proceeding after he gets the communication from the clerk. An extra 10 minutes have been added this morning to allow senators to make their way into the chamber, and immediately we get the signal from the chamber that indeed the quorum has been achieved, we will be taking you back to the chamber for the commencement of the final day of the impeachment case facing Governor Kawira Mwangaza, the governor for Meru County. Governor Mwangaza is also facing charges where the members of the County Assembly of Meru, through their council, accuse Governor Mwangaza of having misled the public by falsely claiming that 86 million shillings raised through a pay bill in the murder of Daniel Muthiani. This is a blogger at Meru County. He was popularly known as Sniper, and he lost his life under unclear circumstances. According to the members of the County Assembly, 286 million shillings was the money raised through the pay bill, and not the 86 million shillings as had been alleged by the governor. The final issue that comes out from the prosecution side is the illegal dismissal of John Ntoti. This is the county CEO of the Revenue Board, Paul Mwaki, who is the CEO of Liquor Board, and Kenneth Kimathi Mbaye, the managing director of Meru Microfinance Corporation. And the MCAs are saying this particular decision is illegal. The governor for Meru County is working on a tightrope this morning, as her fate will be determined by the Senate plenary this morning, where the impeachment hearing and determinations have already begun, today being the final day. And our dear viewers, the commencement of this session marks the last day of this hearing and determination, where the House will be hearing and determining this case facing Mwangaza. A total number of 6 advocates have been lined up for a defense. This is the defense of Governor Kawira Mwangaza. The lawyers, and among them are lawyers Ongoya and lawyer Elias Mutuma. The other lawyers that will be representing the governor in this case are lawyers Brida Kimathi. These are the top 3 lawyers that will be leading the defense this morning to try and, so to speak, pour cold water on the allegations by the members of the county assembly who have accused the governor of going in contravention with the constitution, as well as going, so to speak, straying or not adhering to the ethics and the provisions that guide state officers in regards to how they will be discharging their mandates. The gross violation of the constitution and other laws, gross misconduct, and abuse of office are the 3 main charges that senators will be looking to establish whether the grounds for impeachment have been substantiated. According to the ruling by the Speaker yesterday, when the Speaker was guiding the House in regards to how this matter will be proceeding, this vote will be by delegation. By the end of this day, we'll be expecting our senators to vote on this motion on impeachment. Governor Mwangaza will be needing a total number of 24 senators to save her from the impending impeachment charge leveled against her. And if that number will not be attained, the other way is that the 24 senators will have to vote for a yes or no in this particular impeachment of Meru Governor Kawira Mwangaza. If Mwangaza is saved from this impeachment, this will not be the first time that Governor Mwangaza has been saved by the Senate. She was just at the Senate plenary yet again last year by one, and the House threw out the impeachment charges, and this being the 3rd impeachment hearing that kicked off yesterday. We will be waiting to see how this will be panning out, or how the House will be voting. The MCA wing has lined up Zipporah Kinya, who is an MCA at the Meru County Assembly, as their key witness, or popularly known as evidence in chief at the Senate, to prosecute the matter before the Senate. The widow of the fallen blogger, popularly known as Sniper, was yet another witness that appeared before the Senate last night to try and put the weight into this case, among other witnesses. They were also cross-examined by the senators for the better part of last night to get to understand where they're coming from with this particular case. The main witness being Zipporah Kinya, the evidence in chief. We witnessed her submitting details of the alleged violations by the governor, urging the Senate to uphold the impeachment. And dear viewers, all eyes being at the Senate this 20th day of August, the year being 2024, the last day of the hearing and impeachment of Meru Governor Kawira Mwangaza. this is the third time that Mwangaza is coming before the Senate, and when the vote will be taken, in the event the Senate upholds the impeachment, the governor will...
Honorable Senators, we do have quorum now, so we'll proceed with the business of the morning. Clerk, proceed to call the first order, please.
Order number 1, communication from the chair. Order number 2, motion, joint report of the Departmental Committee on Administration and Internal Affairs of the National Assembly and the Standing Committee on National Security, Defense and Foreign Relations of the Senate on the approval for appointment of Mr. Douglas Kanja Kirocho as Inspector General of the National Police Service.
Chairperson, Standing Committee on National Security, Defense and Foreign Relations.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, in the interest of time, I will be brief in moving this motion. Honorable Speaker, I beg to move that this House adopts the National Assembly Departmental Committee on Administration and Internal Security and Senate Standing Committee on National Security, Defense, and Foreign Relations. On the approval, on the report on the approval hearing of Mr. Douglas Kanja Kirocho, nominee for appointment to the position of Inspector General of the National Police Service, pursuant to Standing Order 2236 of the Senate Standing Orders. Mr. Speaker, sir, as you are aware, pursuant to provision of Article 245(2)(a) of the Constitution, Section 12, subsection 2 of the National Police Service Act, Cap 84, and Section 5 of the Public Appointments Parliamentary Approvals Act, Cap 7F, His Excellency the President submitted the name of Douglas Kanja Kirocho, CBS, OGW, as the nominee for appointment for the position of Inspector General of the National Police Service. Mr. Speaker, what follows thereafter is procedural issues. I will be privileged able to mention, Mr. Speaker, that the Speaker of the National Assembly and the Speaker of Senate via communication made on 1st of August 2024 conveyed the message from the President nominating Douglas Kanja Kirocho as the nominee for appointment to the position of Inspector General of the National Police Service. Consequently, Mr. Speaker, the Speaker of the National Assembly and the Speaker of Senate revert the matter to the two committees to hold a joint approval hearing. Mr. Speaker, in accordance with Section 6, subsection 9 of the Public Appointments Parliamentary Approvals Act, the Clerk of the National Assembly and the Clerk of the Senate invited interested members of the public to submit any representations by written statements on oath, that is affidavits, with supporting defense evidence on the suitability of the nominee for appointment to the position of Inspector General. The invitations, Mr. Speaker, were made via advertisements which appeared in the National Daily Nation and the Standard newspapers on Saturday, 3rd of August 2024. Mr. Speaker, the notification was followed up by a letter to the nominee inviting him to attend the approval hearing and requesting him to submit the completed questionnaire set out in schedule to the Public Appointments Parliamentary Approvals Act, that is CAP 7F, together with the clearance certificates from the Office of the ODPP, ESEC, KRA, DCI, HELP, and CRB as required under the law. Mr. Speaker, further, the clerks also of the two houses wrote to ODPP, the same institutions, seeking reference and background checks relating to the suitability of the nominee. Mr. Speaker, these are all legal requirements that are mandatory. It is legal. It should be received as we vet the nominee. And Mr. Speaker, again, further clerks also of the two houses went forward now to receive these responses. Mr. Speaker, pursuant to Article 118 of the Constitution, Section 6.3 of the Public Appointments, Standing Order 45.3 of the National Assembly, and Standing Order 77.2 of the Senate, Standing Orders. The clerks of the two houses, by way of advertisement, also Mr. Speaker, in the print media, notified the general public of the intention of the committee to conduct public approvals. Mr. Speaker, it is important for the public to know, and even for this House, that public participation is no longer an optional, it is mandatory also. And that is why the Constitution of the Republic and Article 118 comes to play here, so that we also get to know from the public what they think of a nominee, whether CS, whether PS, and even for the case of the IG. Mr. Speaker, the committee conducted approval hearings on 15th of August, that is Thursday. In conducting the approvals hearing, the committee were guided by the provisions of the Constitution, the Public Appointments, Parliamentary Approvals Act, the National Public Service, the National Police Public Service, the National Assembly Standing Orders, and the Senate Standing Orders. So, Mr. Speaker, those are the legal provisions that guided the committee, the joint committee, during the approval hearings. Mr. Speaker, in the interest of time, because, Mr. Speaker, if you look at the report of this joint committee, it is well detailed, every aspect of what transpired during the approval hearings, Mr. Speaker, are captured very well in this particular report, which is detailed. That is, Mr. Speaker, chapter 3 of the report, from paragraph 36 all the way. If you want to know what transpired, the responses by the nominee is mindset on the issues that are pertinent in his leadership, if approved, are captured in chapter 3 of the report. So in the interest of time, I would like just to request my colleagues, as you go through this, refer to chapter 3, and you will see all what transpired. And I think I will stop at that. So I will, Mr. Speaker, go to committee's observations based on the approval hearings. Mr. Speaker, the committee observed that a total of 30 memorandums were received with regard to the suitability of the nominee. Mr. Speaker, memorandums from the public must fulfill certain requirements it should be supported by an affidavit and the evidence. And that is something that is mandatory also. So out of the 30, two only fulfilled the requirements of the law. It had an affidavit in support and evidence, Mr. Speaker. The issues raised in the two memorandums, Mr. Speaker, contesting the suitability of the nominee was sufficiently and satisfactorily addressed by the nominee and do not provide sufficient evidence to warrant the disqualification of the nominee for appointment to the position of IG. Again, Mr. Speaker, the full details of those issues raised by the two Kenyans are also contained. The complaints and the response by the nominee, and also the analysis by the committee as to whether those two complaints really can stop the the vetting of the nominee. Mr. Speaker, the other observation the committee also made is that the nominee fulfilled the provisions of Article 78, Sub-Article 1 and 2 of the Constitution for appointment, since he is a Kenyan citizen and does not hold a dual citizenship. That's a very, very critical point, Mr. Speaker. A person serving as an IG must not hold two citizenship, it should be only one in the country. And Mr. Speaker, that was also fulfilled. Another observation, Mr. Speaker, is that the nominee holds a degree and as required by the provisions of Section 11(1) and of the National Police Service Act for appointment as Inspector General. Mr. Speaker, it is important to note that the National Police Service Act has most of the provisions as to the requirements, the qualifications of the nominee. And we were satisfied as a committee that, Mr. Speaker, under observation number 10D, he had that particular provision of that degree. The nominee meets the requirements of Chapter 6 of the Constitution on leadership and integrity, having obtained the clearance from the institutions I spoke about. That is EACC, you talk about KRA, and all the other institutions, Mr. Speaker. The committee was satisfied that indeed the nominee fulfills requirements of Chapter 6 on leadership and integrity. Mr. Speaker, the nominee demonstrated knowledge of topical, administrative, technical issues relating to governance and the requisite abilities, qualifications, experience to serve. Mr. Speaker, I participated in vetting the immediate former IG. And as we all do this, Mr. Speaker, this nominee promises heaven for the Kenyan people. Available, they will be available. They will be hands-on. They will be able to visit the ground. They will be able to respond. And Mr. Speaker, we took time as a committee to inquire from the nominee if indeed he will be one of those people who will just come and make some public pronouncements, which later, immediately appointed, they forget about. Mr. Speaker, this is the nominee rose from the ranks of a corporal, and he has served this country as a police officer, Mr. Speaker, for 39 years, rising through the ranks. Mr. Speaker, he has served in almost every part of the country, in various positions. Mr. Speaker, he assured the committee and the public that Mr. Speaker is going to ensure that he will fulfill the promises he gave to the committee. Mr. Speaker, there are about 2 issues I will just mention so that I stop. Mr. Speaker, the issue of North Rift, 7 counties, hosting 9 million Kenyans, suffering from cattle rustling. Mr. Speaker, I have moved a motion in this House, approved. It's now being implemented by the department concerned. And Mr. Speaker, the nominee was able to promise deployment, if approved by this House, deployment of enough NPR, the deployment of more security forces. He was able to address the issue of the extrajudicial killings, which Kenyans still feel it exists, but he affirmed to the committee, Mr. Speaker, that is something which is going to work on it. Mr. Speaker, issues concerning the robberies going on in our cities and so on. Matters, Mr. Speaker, regarding the welfare of the members, housing, insurance, and so on. So, Mr. Speaker, if because of time, I will refer members to the report because it has all those issues. And so, Mr. Speaker, I want to say that based on the observations made, the committee recommends that the House approves that Mr. Douglas Kanja Kirocho, CBS, OGW, for appointment as the Inspector General of Police Service. Mr. Speaker, I want to end there and request my brother Mungatana to also briefly second this motion so that members will have a moment to debate before we go to the other matter before the House. So I want to request Mungatana to second. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I beg to move.
Senator Mungatana.
To thank the Honorable William Cheptumo, our Chairman for Internal Security Committee and Foreign Affairs, and Gabriel Tongoyo, his counterpart in the National Assembly, for the good work they have done in preparing this report. Mr. Speaker, in seconding the appointment of Mr. Douglas Kanja, I wanted to particularly take this floor to commend Mr. Kanja. I know a lot is going to be said in this House, Mr. Speaker, about his very good qualifications, his many years in service, and his excellent performance up to now. But what I want to really emphasize, Mr. Speaker, is what Mr. Kanja has been doing of late, which I want him to start, not to stop from where he started. Mr. Speaker, we are not saying anything bad about the previous Inspector General of Police. But even in his acting capacity, Douglas Kanja has been communicating to the Kenyan people, especially when we were having challenges in the city and other places with high populations around the country. Mr. Speaker, he would come out and tell us, this is the plan the police have. This is what we expect those who want, for example, to express their opinions, where they need to go, what they need to do. This is the way we are going to handle this matter. Mr. Speaker, this is the expectation of the public. And this is the expectation we want the new Inspector General to carry out. We want proper communication. Mr. Speaker, I have sat in this House and spoken about the responsibility of public officers and their responsibility to speak to Kenyans. When we were approving here Dr. Patrick Amoth, I stood here in this House, Mr. Speaker, and I said, we are having issues that need proper communication. We do not want to be told by bloggers what is happening on MPOX. We want the officials of government to speak with authority on these matters. And Mr. Speaker, I was so gratified yesterday when I saw this new director of public health speaking with authority on the question of MPOX. That is not a matter of the PS. That is not a matter of the minister. That is a matter of an official who is technical in the ministry to speak to us with authority so that we are not exposed to the knowledge, half knowledge and quarter knowledge of bloggers, Mr. Speaker, and then they circulate it as the truth. We want the new Inspector General of Police to be addressing that. Mr. Speaker, the minister has his place. The CS has his place. But, Mr. Speaker, we want, when it comes to security matters, the Inspector General of Police must be seen, must be heard, must be felt within the Republic of Kenya. Mr. Speaker, when we see the minister going to Baringo and what, he is a policy man. What we want is the person in charge. What is it that you have done? How many people have you deployed? How much money are you using for the operations? We want people who are holding public offices to speak with the authority of that office so that Kenyans can get the value for money. When there is a gap, Mr. Speaker, we have problems. We have rumors. We have false information. For example, Mr. Speaker, when we had the recent demonstrations that happened, it was the responsibility of the Inspector General of Police to come and say that this is what transpired. The estimated value of property lost is this. We lost some people as police officers, and this is the number that we lost. And the public also, condolences, we lost, and this is the number. You speak with authority and impartially. But, Mr. Speaker, we've even had arguments about the number of people that we lost, unfortunately, Mr. Speaker. And we have not been able to be told. When we say our people are involved, we want the police authorities, and we want Mr. Kanja to take this official position without fearing the political, because with us, we will never be satisfied with what we do. There'll be those who will be telling you what you're doing is rubbish, and there'll be those who will be telling you what you're doing is good. But what you need to come out to do is to tell us impartial position. Mr. Speaker, I want to speak about the question of his responsibilities. If you look at the Police Act, Mr. Speaker, Cap 84, one of the things he is supposed to do is to establish broader relationship with the society. Mr. Speaker, I was going to request Mr. Kanja, because we are approving him as the new Inspector General, that he must come out and set a certain legacy around him, that in his time, the Kenyan police service actually became the police service. It did not change to become a police force. We should be able to have that confidence as Kenyans, not to run away from police officers when we see them, but to be able to approach them and speak to them. Mr. Speaker, when I'm saying this because for us who come from the outer parts of this nation, the counties which are out there, you will find the relationship in some parts, and I'm not saying in all parts, in some parts, when children see the police, they run away because of the fear that police have installed and bestowed upon the people. May you come out as the Inspector General of Police who set up a new standard that the police officers, we approach them with confidence like they do in other parts of the world, that we are able to talk to them and speak to them. I don't need to be a member of parliament, a member of county assembly, a member of the executive, or any person in government for you to listen to me. Any person Mr. Speaker, should be able to be heard. We want to see the images of police officers helping the disabled people cross the roads. We want to see police officers being on the first line. When we call you, you don't tell us you don't have fuel. Mr. Speaker, one of the first things the president did when he got sworn into office, he said that he's going to give the Inspector General of Police full authority to spend the money. So now you have no reason for you to tell us you do not have fuel when emergencies occur. And in particular for counties which are outside towns, because this is where we need a lot of emergency response. Mr. Speaker, as I second this motion, I would like to request that he should not be an Inspector General who stays in Nairobi. We want him to come to these areas where there have been security issues. We want to see him there, and we want to see you talking when you are there, telling people what the government is doing. And because you are an AIE holder, you should tell us how much money you are allocating, say, to Tana River for operations. How many police stations are you opening in our counties? Especially the ones that have, and I'm not speaking only about my county, Mr. Speaker, I'm speaking across the nation. Tell us how much money you are allocating. What is your strategic plan for operations in these counties? We should not be hearing only of the police when we have seen people die, or when there are accidents, when there are attacks. Come out and tell us this is the plan, this is how we are executing. You should be part and parcel of our lives, because security is our life also. Security is part and parcel of our life. You should be coming to the televisions, to the radios, to the whatever, speaking to us of your plans, so that we don't wait for things to happen. That's when we see you. We want you to tell us in advance that I will be coming to Tana River County, and this is the plan. We have this number of police stations. This is what we are doing, so that we walk with you. Mr. Speaker, I really want to commend to this Senate and even effectively the Republic of Kenya, this new officer who has served for so many years, 39 years, with distinction. So we ask that we support him, and I beg to second this motion. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Senator Mundegi, have a seat. Honorable Senators will now proceed to propose the question. The Senate adopt the joint report of the Departmental Committee on Administration and Internal Affairs of the National Assembly and the Standing Committee on National Security, Defense and Foreign Relations of the Senate on the approval hearing of the nominee to the position of Inspector General of the National Police Service laid on the table of the Senate on Monday, the 19th of August, 2024. And pursuant to Article 245, 2A of the Constitution, Section 12 of the National Police Service Act, Section 8 of the Public Appointments Parliamentary Approval Act, and Standing Order 77 of the Senate approves the nomination of Mr. Douglas Kanja Kirocho for appointment to the position of Inspector General of the National Police Service. Now, the floor is open. Yes, proceed.
Mr. Speaker, in accordance to Standing Order number 111, rise to, and this is after consultation with the leader of minority. Mr. Speaker, you understand the kind of schedule we have today. We have an impeachment hearing. Yesterday we left here at midnight, and with the Assembly only having presented their side, today we have the defense, and they have quite some work. So we consulted with the leader of minority. I rise with, in accordance to Standing Order number 111 on limitation of debate. We consulted with the leader of a minority, and have agreed that let us have 4 representatives from each side speaking for 5 minutes, and we close debate in the interest of the very agenda that is ahead of us. Therefore, that's a request I'd wish to make. I request the leader of minority to second.
Minority Leader, can you confirm that that is the position?
Yes, I do.
Very well. So we will take 5 from each side, each speaking for 5 minutes. Senator Wambua Kiyo.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I want to take this opportunity to support the report of the committee on the recommendation for the appointment of Douglas Kanja Kirocho, CBS OGW, as the Inspector General of Police for the next 4 years. Mr. Speaker, as we wish Douglas Kanja well in the service, Mr. Speaker, we want to remind him of a few things. That, Mr. Speaker, following the enactment of the Constitution of Kenya 2010, the police force then was changed into a service. And the service, under that service, Mr. Speaker, is when we created the office of the Inspector General of Police. Mr. Speaker, from Article 243 of the Constitution up to Article 245 of the Constitution, detailing the establishment of the office, the functions of the office, and the service command. Mr. Speaker, I want to begin by saying that Mr. Kanja is taking office at a very critical moment in the history of our country. He is occupying office at a time, Mr. Speaker, that this country has endured the greatest levels of police brutality. Mr. Speaker, Kanja is coming to office when the police service, in the eyes of almost every Kenyan, is known for 2 things. 1, brutality, and 2, corruption. And yet, Mr. Speaker, Article 244 of the Constitution, under the functions of the service, I took time to go through that article, Mr. Speaker, and I cannot locate the Kenya Police Service under the provisions of Article 244 of the Constitution. Why, Mr. Speaker? Because that article says that the service is supposed to uphold the highest standards of professionalism. Mr. Speaker, that is wanting in the service. It says that the service is supposed to prevent corruption and act transparently and pursue accountability. I cannot locate that in the service. It says that the service is supposed to protect human rights and fundamental freedoms. The Speaker, that is lacking in the service. It says that the service should promote relationship with the broader society. That also is lacking in the service. Mr. Speaker, I have listened to Senator Mugatana seconding the motion, and he spoke from my mouth. That, Mr. Speaker, a time has come that perhaps the head of the police service must work extra hours, extra time, with greater dedication to change the face of the police service so that a person in dire need, a person who needs help, and they see a police officer on the streets, they run to the officer because the officer will provide help at the time of need. As we speak today, Mr. Speaker, if you are lost in the streets of Nairobi and you see a police officer,
it will be very difficult to approach them for help. Because probably what may happen is they may mislead you or even arrest you. Mr. Speaker, and they might even charge you, threaten to charge you with loitering with bad intent. Mr. Speaker, this service must be reclaimed. The glory of this service must be reclaimed. Mr. Speaker, the IG
Just half a minute, conclude.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, the IG is coming into office at a time that there is need for him to exercise full independence as provided for in Article 245 of the Constitution. These abductions, these police officers hooded, hiding behind hoods, Mr. Speaker, he must deal with those people. And Mr. Speaker, lastly, as I conclude, he is coming to office on a day that Maina Wajigi has been arrested for reasons that we don't even understand. Mr. Speaker, that belongs to the past. That must stop. I thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Senator Chute.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Let me also take this opportunity to rise to support this motion. Honorable Speaker, allow me to thank the committees, both committees of the two houses and the chairs, my friend Chair Cheptumo and Chair Tongoyo. Honorable Speaker, our nominee, IG, Douglas Kanja Kirochi, has done a very good job for this country for the last 39 years. He started with a police constable, as a police constable, and he rose through ranks of, from a corporal to Assistant Inspector General of Police, Senior Assistant Inspector General of Police, and now nominee for Inspector General of Police. Honorable Speaker, I want to also take this opportunity to congratulate the nominee. Honorable Speaker, when he was being vetted, his assets were, as he has indicated, is 46 million shillings. Honorable Speaker, if you look at his earnings per month, for the 39 years he has worked for this country, he was getting 98,290 every month. Honorable Speaker, if you've had other CSS being vetted, some of the CSS, the 2 years they've worked in this government, were earning, or if you look at the asset, were 8,333,000 every month. Honorable Speaker, looking at 39 years of service as a police officer, starting with the rank of a police constable, and he got an asset of 46 million. That is really commendable. Honorable Speaker, having said that, some people are talking about police officers being cruel. I think the problem we have in this country is the police officers are being underpaid. Honorable Speaker, what I would want to ask Mr. Kanja to do, immediately is confirmed. First of all, he must look at the police housing. Honorable Speaker, if you go to Industrial Area Police Station today, Honorable Speaker, the way these police officers live is, I'll tell you today, they are not living like human beings. How do you expect a police officer to work the whole day and going back to those kind of houses? That is terrible. I wanted, if possible, Honorable Speaker, I went to Ilret, my county, one time, and I visited police post and police station. And the way they live, those houses were built in 1950s. And I would want Kanja to visit Ilret and to let him see how people live in Ilret and many police stations. Honorable Speaker, the other issue I want to raise with Kanja, if he is approved, is the issue of Koreans, missionaries, 2 Korean missionaries who were abducted last week. He must visit Moyale. They were abducted in Oda, Moyale. I want him to visit there and see how he can solve that problem. The other issue I wanted to raise, Honorable Speaker, is the issue on the Ethiopia-Kenya border. We have incursions from Ethiopian military regularly into Ethiopia, into Kenya, mainly around Anona, Elebor, and around Sololo areas. Honorable Speaker, our people have suffered. There are IDPs in Sololo as we speak because of the issues we have from the Ethiopian military. The other issue is the issue of NPR. I want Kanja to visit Marsabit, to visit Samburu, visit Garissa, Mandera, Turkana, and Pokot to address the issue of NPRs. We have a lot of shortages on that side. Finally, Honorable Speaker, there are barriers on this road. From Moyale to Isiolo, we have got 18 police barriers. I want Honorable Kanja to address the issue of all these barriers. What are these barriers for? Why do we keep police barriers? They can do patrols. Why do you keep barriers on the roads? And these are all toll stations.
Senator Crystal Asige.
Thank you, Speaker, for allowing me to also contribute to this motion with regards to the new appointment of our Inspector General of the National Police Service. Speaker, my contribution will be very brief and to the point. I am standing here still extremely hurt and disappointed as to how Kenya has been portrayed and the suffering and the killings and pain that we have seen over the past 2 months, especially, Speaker. We sat here 2 years ago and vetted and appointed the former IG, who, unfortunately, he has become one of the most disappointing appointments that Kenya has seen in its National Police Service. And I say that honestly and sincerely, Speaker. With this new IG appointment, Speaker, and the vetting that has been done with the Joint Committee, I don't think that 39 years of a career will do it for me. I don't think that a CV really tells what somebody is, his or her morals, and what they intend to do once they get into a position. A CV is just a piece of paper, Mr. Speaker. And an interview process, anyone can speak and have the gift of the gab, as they call it, and woo the entire committee. But frankly, to me, Speaker, the proof will be in the pudding. The proof will be in what he does in his first 100 days, in his first year, in his first day in office, Speaker. That will be what will determine the intention of this new IG and where he would like to take the National Police Service. Speaker, 2 months later, we still have conflicting police reports, and I wish that this be his first order of business. Conflicting reports on how many people have died in the anti-government protests the last 2 months. We have heard the president give his number, IPOA give their number, the Kenya National Commission on Human Rights give their number, and still, right now in the mortuary, we have over 240 unidentified bodies sitting, lying, and with no clue of where they came from. Some of them have been changed in terms of they've been picked up in one location, and you go to the morgue and you see that they have a tag saying another location for another crime or another accident. Mr. Speaker, it's an absolute mess. And I wish that this become his first order of business and become his priority if and when he gets into office. Mr. Speaker, 2 months later still, we still have bodies, like I said, unidentified. We have abductions still going on, with the most former that has gone viral on the internet being of a popular blogger named Maverick Auko, just released yesterday. Mr. Speaker, 2 months later, we still have families who are left in the dark. They don't know where their kids are, their family members, their loved ones.
What is your point of order, Senator Mandago?
Honorable Speaker, standing order 105 on statement of fact. I've heard Senator Asike say Aogo was abducted. There's a difference between police arrest and being abducted. I think it is time that we also set records straight that the police must be left to do their work. That is the reason why the Honorable Parliament...
Order, Senator Kiyo. Minority Leader. Order, Senator Mazai.
Yes, Honorable Speaker, you must protect me because I get surprised when senior counsel like Omogen, who was in this house and passed the Cybercrime Act, would want to gag the police from doing their work. Can Senator Asike substantiate allegation of abduction? Otherwise, she should withdraw the statement and apologize to the police of this country.
Senator Crystal Asige, you have made a very heavy statement that a blogger was abducted. Are you in a position to substantiate that claim? If not, then you may proceed to withdraw.
Mr. Speaker, as I was contributing, perhaps a good senator from Wasingishu didn't hear me correctly. What I said was that on social media, there are reports of a blogger who has been abducted. I did not say, Speaker, anything else apart from that. Speaker, I'll continue. What I was trying to continue to say is that there are still families who are also left in the dark.
Senator Crystal Asige, you've said abductions are still going on. I heard you correctly. Right. Abductions don't happen in social media.
Speaker, the reports that are coming from social media, I said, are that there are still abductions ongoing.
But, social media may not be the correct source.
Correct, Speaker. And I hope that the new IG that is incoming will unturn every single stone so that we can get down to the bottom of these reports.
Senators, order. Did you verify the information you got from the social media, Senator Crystal Asige?
Speaker, I was continuing to say that I'm hoping that the new IG will take it upon himself to prioritize unturning all of these stones and all of these allegations that are ongoing so that we can find out the truth and he can do his job in informing the country of the true position of what is going on, Speaker.
Proceed.
Thank you very much, Speaker. Speaker, families should also be given information about their whereabouts of their loved ones who are still missing, who are still seeking for answers to questions that they've been having over several months now, Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I also want to say that I hope that the new IG will take note of the court ruling that has pronounced itself clearly about using live bullets, about clothing, and masked officers roaming our streets, Speaker. I hope that this will also be rectified through his tenure when he reaches the office that he is going to assume soon, Speaker, because these kinds of things cannot continue in a republic of Kenya. We are not a banana republic, Mr. Speaker, and I hope that this is definitely prioritized by the new IG. Mr. Speaker, I hope that he works to follow the law. not work to follow anyone else's orders or anyone else's opinions or anyone else's way of doing business, Speaker, is what I'm saying. The law is clear and it's very concise, and he needs to, hopefully, I want to believe that he will be following it.
Senator Sick.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Thank you very much for this opportunity that you've given me also to come to support this motion and take the floor to speak much more about the nominee, IG, Douglas Kancha. At this opportunity when the country really want to have the IG at the moment. Honorable Speaker, I happen to be in the Committee of National Security in the Senate Joint Committee with National Assembly, and we had done an interactive session with the nominee, and we realized that the experience the nominee has and has worked in this country is quite enormous, and we really were a bit impressed, and we really brought this to the limelight of the entire country, that this is the right nominee, somebody who have come from the constable to the position of the Deputy Inspector General of Police. This is enormous. This is something that we really encourage. We thank God that we can really still have officers who can work through ranks, different ranks, without even going to a different rank. He went through all the ranks, from the first rank of the or corporal to the Director General of Police. Honorable Speaker, this motivates the entire service for them to understand that somebody can rise from the constable position or even from constable to the IG position. So this brought to the experiences of this officer. We really realize that that is a very important opportunity for the rest and even for the entire country. Honorable Speaker, the nominee promised the committee and the entire country that because we were live and we broadcasted all this throughout the entire country, he promised to deal with issues of corruption, particularly on the issue of traffic, where we realize that there is a big issue and a big gap in this country. He also promised that he will look at the issues of deployment of staff on areas of that are shortages and try to bring some staffing issues within the force and even discipline within the force. These are the issues that he could really brought to the committee and to the Kenyans when he was being vetted by our Committee of National Security. Honorable Speaker, I want to request that as we continue to approve this nomination of this officer, Douglas Kancha, I request that the nominee would really observe and address a few issues that really were coming very strongly during the interview and to the members of the committees and to also to the public, because we received quite a number of memoranda through public participations and all that. And I really request that the nominee address the issue of vehicles, shortage of police vehicles. We realize that a number of stations, police stations, has no vehicles. If there is no vehicle, then there is no fuel, there is no transport, there is no supervision, there is no security, there is a highly shortage of security. The issue of houses in this country for police is something that really is it's something that has been a big problem. Most of our police are also staying at this kiosk. Most of them stays at, shanty areas, and even it's horrible. It's a horrible situation for the police service. Honorable Speaker, I also want the nominee to address the issue of border points, particularly on areas of, these border points where, like in Kajiado, we have a big problem where the Tanzania authorities are really threatening members of this country. They are abducting, they are arresting, they take our...
Senator Richard Onyonka.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I take this opportunity to contribute to this very, very important matter. Mr. Speaker, the selection, nomination, maybe appointment of the Inspector General of Police is one of the major positions that in our country is highly regarded and respected. Mr. Speaker, the feeling I have is that in our republic, even when as a country we have done exceptionally well when it came to performing internationally. And Mr. Speaker, because of the institutional memory, many of my friends here may not know that or remember that Kenya is actually the country that provided security teams from the Kenyan Police Service to go to Namibia to set up their police system after their independence. Kenya did the same in Zimbabwe. Kenya did the same in Rwanda. And right now, Kenya is in Haiti. Internationally, we've kept a highly respectful kind of engagement, and people have known us as a country that believes in the rule of law and a country that has performed quite reasonably well when it came to our police service. But then, Mr. Speaker, one of the things that I have observed, and I happen to be very lucky because I've been around for quite a while, the police service that we have right now is actually dysfunctional. One of the issues that I would like to raise, and my colleagues and friends here have raised this issue, Mr. Speaker, is that you can't have a police officer who stays in a mud hut with him and his colleagues, even sharing rooms with their wives. We can't have a police service, Mr. Speaker, where a police officer sometimes is transferred unilaterally because he has annoyed some big person somewhere where their rights are violated. We can't have a police service where I keep talking about their salary for obvious reasons, because I would spend most probably a whole day discussing how we have mistreated our police service. And yet, indeed, because of this dysfunctionality, Mr. Speaker, the police service, the Kenyan police service, has failed us miserably. The recent events that you saw happen, my colleagues have talked about unilateral arrests. Mr. Speaker, if you look at it right now, a gentleman called Jimmy Wanjigi was arrested. His house was demolished. And these are issues that I would like to seek in this house and to my brothers. I remember when Cherargei was being arrested some 3 years ago, and he was screaming, saying, oh my God, Mr. Speaker, what is going to happen to me? These people came at 5 o'clock in the morning. Mr. Speaker, at that time when Cherargei was speaking, Senator Cherargei was speaking and crying, I thought he had lost his mind. Mr. Speaker, I would like to encourage Mr. Kanja
Mr. Speaker, I stand under Standing Order 101 and 105 on statement of fact. Mr. Speaker, is it in order to go on the answer of this House that I was yelling and crying Me, I'm a dry Kalenjin man who was circumcised in 3 a.m. in the morning. Is it in order for the senator of Kisii to insinuate I was crying? In fact, I was arrested naked, but I've never cried about it, Mr. Speaker. Can he apologize to me and the great men of Nandi and the people of Nandi, Mr. Speaker, in the spirit of Koitalel Samoe and the Talai, Mr. Speaker?
Mr. Speaker, I literally saw Honorable Senator Cherargei wailing, asking for his gods to excuse him. And when I asked him what was the problem, he told me he had seen Mr. Matiang'i the night before. It was scary for him, Mr. Speaker. I'm using this argument, Mr. Speaker, to justify. Yes, sir. Mr. Speaker, could you allow me to look for... yes. I promise to deliver the video, sir, because I wouldn't wish... Mr. Speaker, Honorable Okongo Mogeni would like...
I have not given that permission. So upon our return, because
yes,
we'll proceed on recess today.
Yes.
At the adjournment of this House, we'll proceed on recess. Once we come back on the 17th of September,
I'll provide the video and show how he was crying.
Now proceed to conclude.
He was wailing. Mr. Speaker, I wanted to say that I plead with the new Inspector General of Police to make sure that he carries himself with the dignity that he has. Mr. Kanja is somebody we all know. I would like him to look at several issues, but I want to plead with this House and the National Assembly for the police service to perform. They have always said, and I believe them, Mr. Speaker, because we went as a committee and met the team from the police service during the Shakahola hearings. And Mr. Speaker, our forensic labs hardly work. The police vehicles don't have fuel. You find that the police officers don't even have insurance for themselves. You find that most of the issues that are involving the police are treated casually. I would like to plead that we provide them with the necessary funding, make sure that this aspect of corruption and aspects of roadblocks being stationed everywhere on our roads, I think it needs to be rationalized. And to finish, Mr. Speaker, I would like to say that I hope that Mr. Kanja will do an excellent job, make sure that this House interfaces with him, because we are the ones who will be oversighting him. I believe that he is a man who's capable of understanding that he must be seen to offer justice, he must be seen to be fair, and he must be seen to be a person who's willing to make Kenya a better place than he found it. Other than that, Mr. Speaker, I'd like to say that I honestly do feel that Mr. Kanja will be able to manage this office, and I hope that my colleagues in this House will be open enough for us to make sure that we begin to change our systems which are failing. Our children who are killed, we don't have the data. That has already been mentioned, Mr. Speaker. So I would like to say that some things we need closure, some things we need to be honest with ourselves, because if you don't have justice, you cannot have peace. Thank you, Mr. Speaker, with those very few remarks.
Senator Kenyu. Senator Kenyu.
Asante sana Bwana Spika kwa kunipa fursa hii. Bwana Spika, kuanzia mwanzo nataka kumpongeza Douglas Kanja kwa kuteuliwa kuwa jenerali mkuu wa polisi. Bwana Spika, ni vizuri julikane wazi na Kanja wakati anapokuja aje akijua ya kwamba kazi kuu ya serikali yoyote ni kulinda mali na maisha ya wananchi, Bwana Spika. Bwana Spika, ukitembelea sehemu nyingi za bonde la Ufa, hasa Laikipia, Bwana Spika, unapata wakati mwingi watu wanaishi kwa maisha ya kukimbizwa na kuibiwa na hawa wezi wa mifugo, Bwana Spika. Kwa hivyo Bwana Spika, ningemuuliza Jenerali wa polisi atakapoingia, Bwana Spika, azingatie na aweze kukubalia tuweze kuongeza hawa askari wetu wa ziada, kwa Kiingereza wanaitwa NPR, Bwana Spika, kwa sababu hawa ndio askari walio na uzoefu na ujuzi katika zile sehemu mahali ambapo wametoka, Bwana Spika. Bwana Spika, na vile vile hawa askari wanapaswa waangaliwe na washughulikiwe, kwa sababu wakati mwingi, Bwana Spika, wanapouawa unapata ya kwamba hawana faida yoyote wanayopata. Ningependa kusema, Bwana Spika, wapewe NHIF iwe ikiwashughulikia wakati wanapatikana matatizo hasa ya magonjwa, Bwana Spika, na familia zao, Bwana Spika. Bwana Spika, nimefurahi kuona ya kwamba nikiangalia ripoti iliyoletwa kwetu, Inspector Generali utajiri wake wote ni milioni, Bwana Spika, 46. Na tungependa, Bwana Spika, baada ya mwaka mmoja tuweze kuangalia utajiri wake utakuwa umepanda kiasi kipi, Bwana Spika, kwa sababu kila wakati unaona mtu anaingia katika hizi ofisi kuu za serikali, utajiri wake unaendelea kuwa mkubwa hata zaidi, Bwana Spika. Na hiyo ni hali moja, Bwana Spika, tutakuwa tukipigana na ufisadi, Bwana Spika. Kwa hivyo, Bwana Spika, ufisadi ni paka uangaliwe kwa kiasi cha haja, Bwana Spika. Bwana Spika, sehemu ambazo zingine ambazo tungependa kumwambia Bwana Spika anapoingia, ukiangalia, Bwana Spika, bonde la Ufa, unapata ya kwamba watu wengi hawa wakora wana bunduki kinyume cha sheria, Bwana Spika. Kwa hivyo anapaswa aungane na maafisa wale wengine, maafisa wa ujasusi, maafisa wa jeshi, ndio waweze kuwanyang'anya wale watu walio na bunduki kinyume cha sheria, Bwana Spika, kwa sababu hizi bunduki ndizo zinahangaisha watu wengi wanaoishi katika sehemu hizo, Bwana Spika. Bwana Spika, Laikipia ukitembea kama pahali kunaitwa Ormora, uende mahali kunaitwa Angwashe, mahali kunaitwa Miteta, Bwana Spika, tuna shida hii ya usalama, hata mahali kunaitwa Yedhi, Bwana Spika. Kwa hivyo ninafahamu na ninajua kwamba kwa sababu huyu afisa ni mtu aliyebombea katika kazi yake, Bwana Spika, nikiangalia ameanza kufanya hii kazi ya usalama kwa muda mrefu, Bwana Spika, ninajua ataweza kuifanya kwa ujasiri na bila kuogopa chochote. Bwana Spika, jambo lingine ambalo ningependa kusema ni ya kwamba kwa sababu nchi hii yetu wakati mwingine tunakumbwa na magaidi, Bwana Spika, na kwa sababu yeye mwenyewe anaonekana aliongoza katika ile operationi ya fagia boni, Bwana Spika, ninajua yeye ataweza kusaidia hata zaidi, Bwana Spika. Bwana Spika, tumekuwa na shida ya pombe katika sehemu nyingi katika nchi ya Kenya, Bwana Spika. Na watu wanakisia kwamba unapata maafisa wengine wa polisi, Bwana Spika, wao wenyewe wana mabaa na wanaendeleza ile mambo ya kuuza pombe, Bwana Spika. Kwa hivyo hiyo mambo ya mgongano wa kirasilimali, Bwana Spika, anapaswa aishughulikie, Bwana Spika. Kwa mambo, Bwana Spika, ya maandamano yaliyokuwa yakifanyika katika nchi ya Kenya, sisi tulitoa mwongozo hapa, Bwana Spika, na tukapitisha vile ambavyo serikali inapaswa kufanya, Bwana Spika. Kwa hivyo hatuna haja tujisumbue kumuuliza huyu afisa, anapaswa afuate yale mambo ambayo sisi tulielekeza katika jumba hili. Tukasema ya kwamba wale ambao waliuawa, Bwana Spika, wanapaswa kufidiwa na serikali, Bwana Spika. Tukasema wale walioko katika hospitali, Bwana Spika, wanapaswa kufidiwa na serikali. Kwa hivyo mimi ningependa kusema ya kwamba nampongeza huyu afisa, na kwa sababu ni mtu aliye na uzoefu, tukiangalia katika historia yake ni mtu aliye na uzoefu, sina shaka mimi namtakia kila raheli katika jukumu hili mpya alilopewa, Bwana Spika, la kuongoza askari wetu, na tunajua ya kwamba baada ya muda aliyopewa tutaona kazi atakayokuwa ameifanya, Bwana Spika. Nashukuru na nasema asante.
Senator Catherine Muma.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker, for the opportunity to contribute to this motion. I wish to support the decision of the joint committees on the appointment of Mr. Douglas Kanja to the position of IG. Mr. Speaker, as we support his appointment, I would want to send a message that when we passed the Constitution of Kenya 2010, we actually intended that we move from the police force to a police service. Mr. Speaker, Article 244 of the Constitution that guides on how the police can be a service has to date not been implemented. The police continues to be a force rather than a service. My plea to the incoming IG is that this is a golden opportunity for you to be the first IG to make a serious attempt to implement the police as a service. And I believe if you implement the police as a service, this will benefit everybody in the country. It will benefit communities, it will benefit families, it will benefit the government, and we will be a better off community. Mr. Speaker, I would want to speak to a few particular issues that I think the IG must pay attention to. Mr. Speaker, we have so many cases of lost children in this country. Every so often you hear this child is being looked for, this child has disappeared, this child has died. I want to ask that the police invest more time in trying to deal with child trafficking in this country so that we deal with that menace. Mr. Speaker, I also want to request that the IG collaborate better with other departments. The information from the Kenya Health Information System indicates that between 2016 and 2023, we had over nearly 200,000 10 to 14-year-olds, girls who were made pregnant. This information was picked from health facilities. Mr. Speaker, all of those are defilements. Do we have a similar number of prosecutions in our courts? No, we don't have it, because these cases are not prosecuted, are not followed, because the provincial administration from sub-chiefs and the others, including the police, actually get into negotiations instead of prosecuting these cases. We are asking that for the protection of girls and boys in this country, because the defilement is also happening to the boys, that the IG will spend a lot more time and put in place mechanisms to ensure that our children, especially the girls, are protected from sexual violence in this country. Mr. Speaker, we have had quite a number of deaths in our universities. We've had brutal deaths that happen where people are murdered, especially girls. We are asking that he also looks at that. And finally, Mr. Speaker, I'd like to speak to the new issue where police are covering their faces, using cars without number plates, hiding their identity. Mr. Speaker, why would police mimic terrorists? How would I know that this is a police officer when the police officer is behaving like a terrorist, like a robber? We need the IG to immediately stop the new practice in the police where they are mimicking terrorists and terrorizing the society in the manner in which they are carrying out, particularly when they want to arrest the persons who have made political speeches. Recently, my former colleague, Khalef Khalifa, former commissioner, was arrested by people who are hooded. And when he tried to get to ask for his rights, they actually then...
Senator Muma, your time is up. Just wind up.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you. Senator Wamatinga.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker, sir.
Let me kick off by thanking the both combined committee of the Senate and the Parliament for the approval of IG nominee Kanja. Mr. Speaker, sir, I have the privilege of knowing Kanja since I was a young boy, and I know his commitment, his dedication, his journey in the police force has been quite long. Indeed, 39 years of experience, Mr. Speaker, having worked in all lanes in this country, having served in different challenges, indeed, he has what it takes to take the police force to the next level. Mr. Speaker, sir, we know we've come from an age where we've been confronted by a new challenge of the Gen Zs. This is a tribalist approach to doing things. This is a generation that is leveraging the technology to have their things done. Mr. Speaker, sir, my prayer to the nominee is that he equally leverages technology, he uses IT to advance, to promote, and most importantly, to ensure that the safety and the security of Kenyans is guaranteed. Mr. Speaker, sir, we came sometimes back with the initiative of the Nyumba Kumi. This was a noble concept that has not taken deep root because it has lacked support from the structural and the structured forces. Mr. Speaker, sir, my request to the new IG is to leverage the Nyumba Kumi initiative, ensure that they are given adequate technology in line with the community frontiers, so that we can be able not only to capture data, but also to timely, effectively report occurrences in any part of this country. Mr. Speaker, sir, being a people-centric approach in offering police services would require that we Kenyan citizens also change our approach in the way we do things. It is a high time, Mr. Speaker, sir, we stop looking at police forces as our adversaries, but look at them as our partners so that we can be able to promote the well-being of each one of us. Mr. Speaker, sir, most of the activities, if not all the activities, criminal or otherwise, are conducted among the citizens. It is our sons, it is our daughters, it is our fathers and our mothers who commit these crimes. Mr. Speaker, sir, having lived for over 20 years in a country, in a European country, I saw that people do take a very active role in reporting incidences to the police. Indeed, if we were to do this, Mr. Speaker, then we would also promote the welfare of not only the police, but the welfare and the security of every Kenyan. Mr. Speaker, sir, it is also important we recall the slogan of the police, utumishi kwa wote. However, Mr. Speaker, we as the registratures, we must also enhance the budget that is allocated to the police services, as has been mentioned by my colleagues, so that we ensure they have decent houses, they have adequate equipment, but most importantly, Mr. Speaker, that the excuse they always get of not having fuel, not being well motorized, not being well equipped, comes to an end. This, Mr. Speaker, sir, can only be done if we are very deliberate in ensuring that the budgetary allocation to the police forces and to all the discipline forces matches the demand and the technology that is required in the present age. Mr. Speaker, sir, the Kenyan police performance in Haiti, as much as it was talked ill about, we are very, very proud because they've been able to bring some sanity. Mr. Speaker, sir, it is this dedication, the utumishi kwa wote dedication, that makes Kenyan police, that makes Kenyan people shine. Mr. Speaker, sir, as I wind up, I would want to say Mr. Kanja has what it takes to take this country to the next level, but most importantly, I urge my colleagues to be very supportive in terms of being deliberate in the county level and in the national level by allocating adequate resources so that the police can be able to deliver, and most importantly, get adequate resources in terms of their facilities, housing, and otherwise, that they can also work in human conditions. Mr. Speaker, sir, in a generation that is getting ever younger, it is the high time that we look at leveraging the technology. Thank you.
Senator Mogeni.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. From the onset, I want to congratulate the IG nominee, Douglas Kanja, for having gotten a chance to serve, I believe, as the fourth Inspector General of Police. But, Mr. Speaker, Kanja will be taking office during very, very challenging times, Mr. Speaker. I want to state here that his first responsibility, Mr. Speaker, should be to ensure that the police respect the provisions of Article 244 of the Constitution. We need to restore public confidence on our police being a police service and not a terrorist unit. Mr. Speaker, I've just been wondering, those out there who are looking at us as a country, when they see police officers arresting Honorable Keter the way they did, coming from church with his wife and child, and he's picked like terrorists are arresting somebody, Mr. Speaker. How does the international community look at us, Mr. Speaker, when we raid the house of a former presidential candidate, Maina Wanjigi? You maliciously damage his property. No, it's not right, Mr. Speaker. We must say these things because it's affecting our image out there, Mr. Speaker. Why should the police arrest people with hooded, hiding their faces? Are they thugs? Mr. Speaker, anybody arresting me, I should be able to know who that person is. I should have a right to inform my lawyer, Mr. Speaker. I want Kenyans to be arrested the way Senator Mandago was arrested. The police approached him and said, "Sir, could we kindly arrest you?" Mr. Speaker, that's how I want it to be done. Not the way they picked Senator Cherargei on a Friday, booked him in Muthaiga police. I went there to see him at Gigiri. He was put in a corridor. He was put in a corridor with grills, Mr. Speaker, the whole weekend. That's not right. This lady you call Scoffy Naoko, Mr. Speaker, arrested and she made a false publication of information contrary to Section 23 of the Computer and the Cyber Crimes Act. A very small offense. Arrested on the 16th, locked up in a police station, denied access to a lawyer, only to be presented to court yesterday and given a cash bail of 20,000. Are we serious as a country? The police have better things to do, Mr. Speaker. When they gave summons to Maina Wanjigi to appear before DIC, he walked there yesterday. He walked there yesterday, Mr. Speaker. That's how we should be proud as a nation. Then we can say we have a police service, Mr. Speaker. I am the one who defended Honorable Keter. He was arrested. The EACC published his name on the run to elections and said this is the big fish that we got. I did that case for him in Naivasha. He was acquitted. But before he was acquitted, he was in police detention for 2 nights before he was charged in Naivasha, Mr. Speaker. We don't want this kind of the police being used to do malicious prosecution. And I'm sure even Senator Cherargei, in the fullness of time, he will be a free citizen, Mr. Speaker. So we want, Mr. Speaker, our police service to fight crime. Look at the corruption. Senator Cheruiyot, every weekend I drive from Nairobi to Nyamira. On the road, the police officers have put up toll stations, collecting money from Kenyans who are honestly trying to make a living from doing matatu business. It's not right, Mr. Speaker. And the Kenyans, when they enacted this constitution, they put it in Article 244 that the police should prevent corruption, Mr. Speaker. So if this guy can change that image, we can be proud as a country, Mr. Speaker. So he should take office knowing that 2 of his predecessors resigned from office. The first IG, Kimaiyo, was forced out of office. Koome resigned out of office. We don't want that demon to follow him. Let him serve Kenyans, respect the Constitution, respect human rights, and he leaves a mark, Mr. Speaker. That's the only country, that's the only time we will all say, as Kenyans, we passed a constitution that put in place a police service that is there to serve Kenyans. I support his nomination. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Majority.
Mr. Speaker, sir, I know I have 2 minutes, but I want to spend them very, very quickly. In 2.5 minutes, I'll say what I need to say. Then I'll donate the rest of the 2 minutes to Senator Cherargei who wants to say something on this topic. Just two things, Mr. Speaker. Number one, the reason why I give a vote of approval to DIG Kanja is that I know, Mr. Speaker, that he's a man of his word. And I want to give him my vote of approval on behalf of the people of Kericho, but with only one assurance. Senator Okongo has spoken about something that I'm very passionate about. If you drive from a place called Total to Kaplong or Chebila to where we border with Senator Okongo Omogeni, you will count more than 20 police stops. And there's nothing else they're doing other than collecting money from matatus. I want to tell Mr. Kanja that the only reason I'm giving you a vote this afternoon on behalf of the people of the Kericho is with the assurance that those police roadblocks will disappear. I don't want to see those toll stations in Kericho. And that is the only deal that I want to enter with him. Second and the final thing, Mr. Speaker, is that I was in the UK last week. And this is just overall about institutions of oversight, Mr. Speaker. You know that they had riots in the UK 2 weeks ago. As we speak today, Mr. Speaker, the police have been able to round up those who are inciting people to violence, including online. The judicial system is so efficient, Mr. Speaker, that those people 2 weeks down the line are in jail already. We need to see that level of efficiency, Mr. Speaker, between the police and the judiciary so that we don't discuss these small issues like the state of arrest or the modus operandi of police while effecting arrest, Mr. Speaker. Therefore, it is my sincere hope that IG Kanja will infuse the level of professionalism that Kenyans are yearning for, Mr. Speaker, into the police service. With those main remarks, I support. I yield the remaining 2 minutes, Mr. Speaker, to Senator Cherargei.
Remaining 1 minute.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. With your indulgence, I want to support this report of that the Committee of National Security, Mr. Speaker. As a guest of most of the police stations, Mr. Speaker, I have slept. It is not only in your county, Kilifi, that I have not slept in that police station, but I hope soon too, in good faith, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I want to say there are many challenges with the police. Two things I'll mention in quick succession is one, those police stations, Mr. Speaker, when you are arrested and taken to the cell, the last time those police cells were painted was in 1980, Mr. Speaker. When you go, the toilets, Mr. Speaker, are pathetic. I slept on the corridor on Gigiri, which is supposed to be the prestigious police station in this republic, for 3 days. And Senator Okongo Omogeni visited me, Mr. Speaker. Remove my dignity, Mr. Speaker. We want the police under Article 245 to do their job with professionalism, Mr. Speaker. On the police housing, Mr. Speaker, how can you explain police are depressed? Police are killing each other, Mr. Speaker. You are putting two families in one room, Mr. Speaker, where only bed sheets separates them, Mr. Speaker. How will they enjoy their conjugal rights? How will they enjoy their privacy, Mr. Speaker? If you leave your wife and go to night patrol, the other police might patrol your wife at night, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, we must give dignity. And I want to challenge the man from Biriri, Inspector General nominee DIG Kanja, the man from Biriri village, to talk with the president and do affordable housing program across all police stations, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I'm happy that the issue of body cameras is being introduced to monitor crime and ensure the police are held accountable to the highest police standards across the world, Mr. Speaker. Number 3, Mr. Speaker, is on the police uniform. What happened to the blue police uniform? Nowadays, you get police that are donning green camouflage. Everybody, from DIG, IG to everybody, Mr. Speaker. The issue of police uniform must be sorted out to avoid confusion, Mr. Speaker. Finally, on the financial autonomy, Mr. Speaker, we must agree that the fact that Inspector General of Police is given financial autonomy, Mr. Speaker, it should be reflected, Mr. Speaker. I want to agree with Majority Leader on police stops, Mr. Speaker. When you go to Kapsabet, when you are coming from Kisumu, Mr. Speaker, coming from Eldoret at the airport, at Matunda, Mr. Speaker, there are so many road police blocks, Mr. Speaker, that you are not told what these toll stations are about, Mr. Speaker. We want to see professionalism. I saw Senator Onyonga, Mr. Speaker. You remember when he was the MP, there were allegations that he bought sugar through CDF, dubious deals through CDF, Mr. Speaker. When police were looking for him, how could they have done, Mr. Speaker? If, for example, Jimmy Wanjigi, Mr. Speaker, would have summoned himself, Mr. Speaker, and appear before the police, Mr. Speaker. I want to say, Mr. Speaker, when you are needed by the police, you must submit yourself, Mr. Speaker. If you cannot submit yourself, the police can break Mr. Speaker into the bunker, Mr. Speaker. I support that. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Point of order, Mr. Speaker.
Order.
Mr. Speaker, Honorable Cherargei just mentioned me adversely wrongly because I never sold sugar using CDF. And the case I had, I won. He's just making this for political expediency because I said he was running and crying like a baby. The point of order is that unless you have a
Senator Fernandez. Senator Onyonka, just take your seat.
Thank you.
Senator Gidogo, 2 minutes and we wind up this so that I put the question.
I say allegations.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker.
Order, Senator Fernandez. Order, Senator Fernandez.
Mr. Speaker, I want to thank you for giving me this opportunity to contribute into this very important approval motion, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I was privileged to be among the people that vetted the Inspector General of Police. Mr. Speaker, I want to confirm to this House that the Inspector General, Mr. Speaker, demonstrated a wide range of experience for 39 years, Mr. Speaker, and the committee was convinced beyond reasonable doubt that Mr. Kanja is suitable for the position, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, on the issue of insecurity, Mr. Speaker, I was very much concerned about the issues of insecurity, how he would handle the issues of insecurity, Mr. Speaker. And, Mr. Speaker, he was very, very eloquent in terms of elaborating on how he's going to handle the issues of insecurities in counties and to the people that are in close proximity to Somalia border. Mr. Speaker, he had an experience in terms of handling the insecurity in the counties that are in proximity to Somalia borders, having worked in Lamu, county that I come from, Mr. Speaker. And Mr. Speaker, I was convinced that he will handle the insecurity issues in those areas. Mr. Speaker, finally, on the issues of demonstration, he was able to demonstrate very clearly that he is going to handle the issues of demonstrations in terms of seeing to it that the law is followed to the letter so that, Mr. Speaker, nobody will feel that, Mr. Speaker, his rights are not followed. Mr. Speaker, finally, I would wish to pray I'm looking upon, Mr. Speaker, to see to it that, Mr. Speaker, when Mr. Kanja gets into office, Mr. Speaker, he will improve the working condition of our police officers. Mr. Speaker, the police officers are people with families. Mr. Speaker, they need a proper working condition, Mr. Speaker, so that they may feel that this country, Mr. Speaker, or the government is looking upon their families, as well as, Mr. Speaker, seeing to it that their stipend is taken care of, Mr. Speaker, so that they can be given some morale so that they can be able to work and serve the people of this country, Mr. Speaker, effectively. With that, Mr. Speaker, I support this motion, Mr. Speaker. Thank you.
The Chairperson, Standing Committee on Security, to proceed and reply.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I want, first of all, to thank all members who have spoken to this motion, and I'm happy that they actually all supported. Mr. Speaker, the issues raised by members, ranging from the issue of improved communication of the police, improved relationship between the public and the police service, matters touching on implementation of Article 245 of the Constitution, issues of roadblocks, issues of general welfare of the police officers. Mr. Speaker, these are the issues that the honorable members have been able to raise. Mr. Speaker, when we had the nominee before the committee, all these issues, actually almost all of them, Mr. Speaker, were raised. And I want to say that if you want to know the way the IG thinks about these issues, refer to the report that we have been able to table in this House. Mr. Speaker, I wish, therefore, to say that this is the day and the time for us as a House to make a decision and give our approval for the member. I therefore reply, Mr. Speaker.
Now, honorable senators, I'll proceed to put the question. That the Senate adopts the joint report of the Departmental Committee on Administration and Internal Affairs of the National Assembly and the Standing Committee on National Security, Defense, and Foreign Relations of the Senate on the approval hearing for the nominee to the position of Inspector General of the National Police Service, laid on the table of the Senate on Monday, the 19th of August, 2024, and pursuant to Article 245(2)(a) of the Constitution, Section 12 of the National Police Act, Section 8 of the Public Appointments Parliamentary Approval Act, and Standing Order 77 of the Senate approves the nomination of Mr. Douglas Kanja Kirocho for appointment for the position of Inspector General of the National Police Service. Will as many as of that opinion say aye? Aye. Will as many as of the contrary opinion say nay? The ayes have it. Next order.
Order number 3, hearing and determination on the proposed removal from office by impeachment of Honorable Kawira Mwangaza, Governor of Meru County.
Do we have the parties in the House? Secretariat? Clerk? Do we have the parties in the chamber? Now, honorable senators, yesterday we had the case of the County Assembly, and today we are going to hear the case of the Governor of Meru County. I'm informed that at the adjournment of the House yesterday, that is last night, there are some senators who had expressed their wish to seek clarifications from the Council of the County Assembly. Now, the system is not helping today. I'm unable to look from my dashboard to get to know who intended to seek any further clarification for the Council. And therefore, yes, Senator Fernandi, what is your issue?
Mr. Speaker, thank you. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I hope the PSC Commissioner, Senator Kinyo, is noticing also we need welfare like police. Mr. Speaker, yesterday we wanted to seek further clarification from the Council of the County Assembly. I remember the first witness was being stood down, and some of us wanted to seek further clarification. Would it be in order to proceed?
We will proceed to seek clarification from the Council of the County Assembly.
Okay, thank you.
For half an hour. So at exactly 11:34, we should embark on the case of the county governor.
Mr. Speaker, through you, yesterday I wanted to know from the pleadings that the County Assembly, through their council, read by Mr. Ndegwa, which of course, one of the issues I wanted to know in the pleadings, it was never indicated whether an invitation to the governor of Meru was sent out during the impeachment proceedings at the County Assembly of Meru. So I would want to know whether there is a proof to that effect, because I have seen the pleadings and submissions that have been made. If Mr. Ndegwa and the team, the youthful councils, could provide. Mr. Speaker, the second point is whether the councils, in case the governor was invited to appear before the county assembly, whether there were any communication to that effect, where she got the receipt of that appearance, and whether it was confirmed. So, Speaker, finally, to the councils of the county assembly through you, whether there is any evidence that was tabled before the Meru County Assembly to challenge the motion of impeachment, because that is where the charges are aired, and Senate is either to appel or not the charges that have been done at the County Assembly, whether there is any evidence to challenge, whether there was an evidence to challenge the motion of impeachment against Meru Governor at the County Assembly. So, Speaker, and finally, there was an argument over the Office of the Auditor General report, where the reading of the Constitution and the feeling of some of members, Mr. Speaker, through you, felt that the fact that the OAG has generated a report, the Office of the Auditor General, can it be quoted as a legal document, or can it be used persuasive in any of the pleadings or any case that is before the House? So I would want to know the opinion of Mr. Ndegwa and the County Assembly and the Youthful Council, whether that one can be taken into consideration. I thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir.
The appearance is as before for the County Assembly. We are greatly humbled for granting us a further opportunity to urge our case as before you. We do not take it for granted that the Senate creates time for that particular engagement. We are greatly humbled. In response to the inquiry by my learned friend, Mr. Chergei, the Senator, I refer you to Volume 4 of the County Assembly documents, where we have the index and description of the document that we have filed. At page 55, if Honorable Senators, you are with me, at page 55 of Volume 4 of the bundles by the County Assembly, you find a notification of the impeachment motion dated 31st July. This notification was issued by Honorable Zipporah Kinya, MCA, and the Deputy Majority Leader. It was addressed to Her Excellency the Governor, Honorable Kawira. It was notifying her of the pending proceedings before the County Assembly. Of course, Honorable Senators, permit me to indicate to you that this was pursuant to Honorable Lady Justice Cherere findings in Meru's High Court in the first impeachment, that the mover ought to notify personally to the intended respondent, who is the governor. Equally well, at page 56 of the same document, Volume 4, Honorable Senator, my learned friend Mr. Chergei, page 4, Volume 4, page 55, which you've just dealt with. We are now turning to page 56, where you find a letter from the County Assembly of Meru, the Office of the Speaker. The letter is dated 31st of July, The same is addressed to Her Excellency the Governor, Honorable Kawira. It's an invitation to respond and appear before the County Assembly for the removal from office of the Governor of Meru County pursuant to the motion. The same was prepared by the county, by Ayub Bundi, who is the Speaker, and it was duly served upon the Governor, where she acknowledged receipt by stamping on the said document on the same date, 31st July, at 4:16 p.m. The same was supported by an affidavit of service. The first one is dated the 31st of July. Honorable Senators, you find that at page 59 of the same bundle. It is deponed by one Benson Kenywa Ngure, who is a duly licensed process server and equally an advocate of the High Court of Kenya. At paragraph 2, 3, 4, and 5, he deposes how he effected service at the office of the Governor. Of most interest is paragraph 2, where he says that on the 31st July, I was instructed to serve Her Excellency the Governor of Meru County, Honorable Kawira Mwangaza, with an invitation to respond and appear before the County Assembly via a letter dated 31st July 2024, reference as MCA/GC/1 volume 1/24, together with the hard copies of the late notice of motion by Honorable Zipporah Kinya, seeking the removal from the office of the Governor of Meru County by way of impeachment. That letter, Honorable Senators, referred thereto or therein is the letter that you find at page 56 of the said document. That is what Mr. Benson is deposing to have served. Equally well, Honorable Senators, at page 64 of the said document, you find another affidavit of service deponed by Joel Maitehia Mturukonga. He deposes at paragraph 2 that on 31st July, I received a copy of the notice of motion for the removal from office of the Governor of Meru County by impeachment from Zipporah Kinya, and the deputy leader of the majority party, County Assembly of Meru, with instructions to effect service upon Her Excellency, the Governor of Meru County, Honorable Kawira Mwangaza, and the Speaker of the Speaker of the County Assembly. He says that he proceeded on the same day at around 4:17 p.m. at the office of the Governor. I served the aforementioned document to Frida, the Secretary to the Governor, Meru County, by attending the copy there to her and recording her signature at my principal copy. This is clear evidence that there was effective service. The question is whether there was response and whether there was attendance from the Governor. She will be telling us in our cross-examination whether she did attend. And that answers the first and the second issue, whether there was communication, whether there was evidence that there was tabled to challenge the notice. There was no correspondence and all pleadings that was filed before our clients challenging or responding to the invitation and challenging the notice of impeachment. We are not aware of one. The impeachment motion at the County Assembly went uncontroverted and unchallenged. As to the question of the Auditor General's report and whether it can form the basis of this impeachment, permit me to draw your attention to Article 10 of the Constitution, because that is a legal question. It lays down the national values and the principles of governance, which Article 10 provides that it binds all state organs, state officers, public officers, and all persons whenever any of them applies or interprets the Constitution. And in this case, we are applying the Constitution and then the written law. One of the principles is the principle of accountability and the principle of transparency, the principle of the rule of law, the principle of good governance. When you go to the article establishing the office of the Auditor General, the Auditor General comes in to scrutinize and to lay effect to the implementation of Article 10, whether there was accountability, whether there was transparency, whether the rule of law was followed in public expenditure. Again, that must be read together with Article 2 or 1 of the Constitution that provides and lays down the principles on how public resources must be expended. One of the overriding principles is that there must be prudent utilization of the resources. And number 2, honorable senators, is that when reading the Constitution, we must read it as a whole. Any article breathing life to the subsequent one. That is to mean, honorable senators, that if an office has been established by the Constitution, an office such as that of the Auditor General, it must be seen as a complementing office that is complementing the principles laid down under Article 10, pursuing the doctrine of transparency, the doctrine of accountability, the doctrine of the observation of the rule of law, the doctrine of good governance. That is to mean, honorable senators, when an issue has been raised in the...
Senator Christo, allow the council to conclude, then you can make your intervention. Yes, what is your issue, Senator Christo?
Thank you very much, Speaker, for allowing me to just make this quick comment. Speaker, you have given direction that we only have 30 minutes for this clarification session, and I believe that we are moving into an area where the Council is being allowed to re-prosecute his case by giving quite lengthy responses, and the rest of us have other clarifications we'd like to make. If it pleases the House, Speaker, and yourself, could the Council be guided to just make his responses brief so that we can get through more clarifications and not to re-prosecute his case? I thank you.
Council for the County Assembly.
Yes.
If I was wondering what kind of question you're responding to, because the question by the Senator for Nandi has no relationship with the lengthy statement you're giving. Be precise, just go straight to what you've been asked to clarify. And I'm giving you 2 minutes to conclude that.
I'm well guided, Mr. Speaker, sir. Yes, the answer is yes. The Auditor General reports can form the basis of impeachment because as under the time of the generation of that particular report, Article 229 requires the County Assembly to debate. After debating, that does not mean that it disposes of or waives the County Assembly's responsibility of oversight. It can form the basis of impeachment because an action must ensue and all follow from the findings of the county of the reports. It's not just a report that has to be done and be placed somewhere and gathers dust.
Senate Majority Leader.
Mr. Speaker, and you know, just as a point, we have to move away from this Stone Age practice. I hope in the next impeachment process, we will go digital. This is unfair to the climate. Look at this, every senator with. Anyway, just a simple clarification, Mr. Speaker. Part of the documents I've spent a lot of time reading are documents from the public participation, because I wanted to hear what the people of Meru are saying, because this is about the people of Meru, Mr. Speaker. and I'd refer the Council for the Assembly to their document, Volume 5, this very huge, voluminous document before us. Mr. Speaker, the reason I did this is I just wanted to understand, and I'll be satisfied if the Council can even just point me to any of the documents they have presented, because it will help me to form a correct opinion. Because listening to the Council yesterday in his opening remarks, he alluded to, and this has been captured as part of the documents they presented on page 11, 1334, on views of members of the public supporting notice of proposed motion to impeach Governor of the County Government of Meru, the Honorable Kawira Mwangaza. And one of the main issues that keeps coming up, I had the Council speak about it. I had the Honorable Member, I think Zipporah, the one who moved the impeachment motion, refer to it also yesterday, that the Governor is allegedly behind disunity problem, especially amongst the leaders of Meru, and the efforts, especially by Meru professionals during Cheke Council of Elders, and the clergy seem not to bear any fruits. That doesn't concern me much because, you know, at leaders level, Mr. Speaker, there are many reasons why we disagree. But as an exit to this problem, last time we made our conversation, we had requested, just the last point, Mr.
Majority
Speaker.
Leader, you have not more than 2 minutes to seek the clarification.
The 12th paragraph of that process is that the Governor is alleged, paragraph 11, the Governor is alleged to frustrate the process of reconciliation between her, the Deputy Governor, and the MCAs. This featured prominently in their case and submissions. Is there any document that they can point out to us, Mr. Speaker, to confirm that indeed there have been efforts to do this, but the Governor specifically frustrated them? I'd be satisfied even if just told, go to this document and see this. Thank you.
County Assembly, 1 minute.
Thank you very kindly, the Majority Leader. The voluminous document that you see contains the report and the analysis that came or accrued from the processes of the public participation. We have voluminous evidence where the members of the County Assembly say that yes, there has not been fruitful results from the process or initiated for reconciliation. Some of them are yet to give us the reports. For example, the Nchorincheke that you referred to is yet to give its findings as to the current existing status, whether there has been reconciliation or not. In any case, Mr. Speaker, sir, the public participation is quite different and the views of the public are quite different from the views of perhaps of those who may be wanting to reconcile. And reconciliation efforts perhaps may also be evidenced by the fact that I've noted in Governor's response that individuals have even moved the President, His Excellency the President, to dissolve the Meru County. That is the indifference, that is a conundrum, whether it should then be dissolved or we should deal with the problem at hand. I'm most obliged.
Senator Olekena.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Briefly, I just need to seek some clarification from the Council, from the Assembly. Yesterday, when you were leading one of your witnesses, you alleged to the fact that the Governor had made a statement and said that that witness was given 86 million. Could you clarify the following things? One, whether there was only one pay bill or there were others. I refer to page 168 of volume 1B. There's an account number 0755604442, which is also for the pay bill number 247247, which I believe is an Equity Bank. Whether you have that statement here. And then there was also a statement in the same page 168 that says that those donating from abroad should send to a number 0720103913 if we have a statement to that effect. And then finally, on this issue of the Auditor General report, Do you have, as per the Constitution, Article 229, subsection 8, it says that, it reads as follows: within 3 months after receipt of an audit report, Parliament or the County Assembly shall debate and consider the report and take appropriate action. Do you have any report, maybe I missed it out, where the County Assembly of Meru debated on the Auditor General findings and took appropriate action so that we can be able to look into it? Or did you just take the Auditor General report and submitted it as part of your case? Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
County Assembly, 1 minute.
Thank you very kindly, Mr. Speaker, sir. The witness who testified, Irene, who is the window to the deceased, confirmed before the Assembly that there only existed one account, and as to whether the money that was being sent from abroad was ever uploaded to the same account. In her examination in chief, she led the House to the evidence that 115,000 shillings that had been generated found itself to the pay bill, and that you find it at page 301 of volume 2, where all the money from that particular number, which was registered in the name of Judith, was eventually credited to the said account, and the credit is reflected as that of 115,000. And the number that was responsible for collecting of the 100,000 shillings, 1,015,000 shillings, appears on the governor's bundle of document labeled as Volume 1B, at page 168, I beg your pardon, marked as KM20. The number is registered as that from those in diaspora sent to this number, that is 0720 103 913, registered in the name of Judith. That is the number reflected in our bundle of documents statement at page 301. So all the money had one centralized mechanisms of management and only one pay bill. We'll be asking her to give evidence as to the whereabouts of the other millions when her time comes. As the question of the Auditor General, whether it has been debated, the same was generated on the 20th of June 2024. And the motion before the Assembly is dated 31st of July. Debate is yet to take effect at the County Assembly. But the question is, was there a transgression that was notified or noticed by a constitutional organ? And if yes, how do we proceed to deal with that legal transgression?
Senator Omtata.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir. I rise on the question of public participation. I've gone through the bundle, and I don't see any evidence that feedback was provided to the people who gave their views on either why they were accepted or rejected. And this is a standard that has been set by the courts, that there must be feedback to those who present their views. It's not like a census or something. So can the Land Council point me to any part of the evidence they have where they complied with the standard on feedback, on public participation, so that what they have submitted can be admissible as having met the threshold that has been set by the courts, especially in Civil Appeal number E003 of 2023. That's the National Assembly, and another versus Okio Mtato Koiti and 52 others. Thank you.
Proceed, Counsel.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Sir, I must thank the Senator for Busia for the well work done in contributing to the jurisprudence of this country, and especially the question of public participation, which is still a moot area, with a lot of jurisprudences emerging, a challenge that also faces perhaps most of the government organizations on how to initiate it and how to get a feedback. I must admit that this is a recent ruling, judgment of the Court of Appeal, which is barely a month old, and therefore, and actually it was delivered on the 31st of July this year, when the motion was already in the county assembly. So I believe that most of the organizations, including this Senate, is yet to adjust itself to meet the legal threshold as laid out by the Court of Appeal. Previously,
Senator, you've answered, Counsel. Senator Sige.
Thank you so much, Speaker. Yesterday, Speaker, the Council, through his witness-in-chief, played some videos. My questions are as follows. There was one video that depicted a scene whereby it looks like it was said to be the home of the witness-in-chief, and somebody was pouring petrol and then torched a fence on that property. My question is, who took that video? Is there any evidence showing the owner of the device that took that video? Because in the evidence, the witness-in-chief, Speaker, said that the first person to have known that there was a fire on the property was the watchman who came running and then told others. So who took that video at that exact moment when the fire was when it was being torched? Second, Speaker, there was also two other videos where one, the witness-in-chief was doing a interview and spoke about grievances from farmers or about dead cows. The second was a news report talking about a lack of service delivery in a hospital where a lady was made to give birth outside of a hospital. Speaker, I wanted to find out if there are any supporting affidavits, if there are any reports, certified reports of the same two scenarios, which would give credence to the allegation of lack of service delivery in our batch of documentation. Lastly, on page 168, there is a number of an account, and I wanted to know who it belongs to. It 0755. I forget the rest of the numbers. 60442. Can you please clarify whose that belongs to? Thank you.
County Assembly.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. The video that was played was captured by the CCTV footage at 3:48 a.m. It's evidence from the video supported by the affidavit of the mover, and the matter is still subject of these proceedings. The video on the evidence on the dead cows and the lack of services at the county government of Meru, the same is supported by the evidence and the affidavit of the mover annexed here too, and evidence has been laid in chief in that respect. And we have a certificate of electronic evidence produced in respect to that particular footage. On the question of the number, that is 0755560442, that is the number of the witness, or witness PW2, who happens to be the window to the deceased, the slain blogger Sniper. Yeah, and that is part and parcel of the number that forms the basis of the account.
Thank you. Honorable Senators, we shall now move to hear the case for the governor. Counsel for the governor, you have the floor. You have 4 hours to present your case. Those 4 hours do not include the time that the honorable senators will take to seek for clarifications.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir, and thank you, distinguished senators. I stand here to seek your direction, Mr. Speaker, on time management so that we begin on a clear understanding. I make this request, Mr. Speaker, because of what transpired here yesterday. When the Assembly made their case, they spent 3 hours and 10 minutes on the evidence of their first witness, essentially leaving the official time of 4 hours with a balance of only 50 minutes. The net effect, Mr. Speaker, is that the governor's team was completely disadvantaged throughout yesterday, and I'm certain that the senators who were here last night could see how we struggled to wriggle within the limited time. We therefore beseech you that we give directions on time management, and we propose as follows, Mr. Speaker. We ended up using 6 hours yesterday for the witnesses for the Assembly. Out of these 6 hours, 2 were given to the governor's team with no opportunity for extension, and 4 hours and 10 minutes were given to the Assembly team. It therefore follows that the Assembly got 2/3 of the time yesterday, and the governor's team got 1/3 of the time yesterday. We beseech you that in tandem with the principle of equality of arms, the governor's team gets 2/3 of their time today, and the Assembly team gets 1/3 of the time today in advance of commencement of the proceedings, so that every party decides how they want to use or play about with their time, and when they run out of their time, it is their own making and they take the consequences. If that direction finds favor with you, Mr. Speaker, sir, the 4 hours you have given us today translate to 240 minutes, 2/3 of which is 160 minutes. We urge that from the very outset, you direct that the governor's team has their 160 minutes, which they will decide how to use, and the Assembly team has the balance, which translates mathematically to 1/3 of the 4 hours that you have given us today, and they will decide how to use it. So that if any party wastes time, they are wasting singularly their own time and not the adverse party's time. I make this plea, Mr. Speaker, precisely to underpin the principle of equality of arms, because the Hansard of this House will bear me out. The Assembly got 2/3 of yesterday's time. The governor's side got 1/3 of the time yesterday. Once you give that direction, Mr. Speaker, I will then give you how we intend to distribute our time and how we are going to go about calling our witnesses. I humbly submit.
Now, Counsel for the County Assembly, we need not debate on issues of time. You know exactly what happened yesterday.
Yes.
You were given 4 hours. You took 3 hours and 10 minutes.
I am on a different position that I also wish your guidance so that you can just do it
on time, it's squarely in my hands. So
on time,
just
it's squarely on your
as I
hands.
give directions
That's
on
correct, Lord. Yeah.
Please do. Take your seat.
Mr. Speaker, sir, yesterday proceedings, one Linda, who is a legal advisor, who was a legal advisor, alluded to a fact of forgery of her, a document that is purported to have been issued by her. Mr. Speaker, making an application under Section 65 of the Evidence Act, that for purposes of establishing the truthfulness or lack of it of that claim, which is grievous, that this Senate does order the bearer of this document, that is Governor Kawira, to produce the original copy of the same before the close of business, so that we can have a look at it.
Counsel for the County Assembly, let us allow the governor to present her case.
Most obliged.
And then we will be able to handle each issue.
I am well guided.
Being raised.
Most obliged.
At the time it's being raised.
Most obliged.
Counsel for the governor, you may proceed. Indeed, the County Assembly will have a third of the time allocated, just like it happened yesterday. Proceed.
Thank you so much, Mr. Speaker, sir. I therefore be ceding ground to my colleague, Mr. Robert Mutembei, to put on the stand our first witness, Mr. Ibrahim Mutwiri Kerimi, I urge that the said witness be presented on the stand.
Mr. Speaker, as we wait for the witness to be brought in, for the record, my name is Robert Mutembe. I intend to take about 20 minutes on this witness.
Where is the witness? Sergeant at Times, can you usher in the witness, please? Secretariat, may you administer the oath?
I, Ibrahim Mutwiri Keremis, do solemnly swear that the evidence that I shall give before the Senate in respect of the matters before the Senate shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. So help me God.
Mr. Ibrahim, could you kindly introduce yourself to the House?
My name is Ibrahim Mutwiri Keremi, the CC member, Finance, Economic Planning, and ICT, Meru County Government.
Mr. Ibrahim, kindly confirm that you wrote an affidavit that appears in support of the response of the governor, and that is your signature on the affidavit.
Yes, I do confirm that this is my affidavit signed by me in support of the governor of Meru County Government.
You wish to rely on this affidavit as your evidence before this House?
Yes, I do.
The affidavit is signed on 16th of August 2024. It appears from page 30 to 35 of volume 1 of the governor's response. Ibrahim, let's just go straight to what has brought you here in light of the time that we have. Have you read the impeachment motion that has been brought against the governor?
Yes, I have.
Specifically, have you read count 3, which largely talks about financial issues, most of which have been the subject of discussion yesterday and today morning?
Yes, I have, and particularly manual payroll and alleged irregular payment of allowances to doctors.
Very well. So let's go to the motion, count 3. I just want you to look at the grounds under that count. The first one reads irregular payment of emergency call allowances to doctors and medical officers using the wrong rates, contrary to sections 45, and 46 of the Anti-Corruption and Economic Crimes Act and others mentioned there. And the second one reads use of manual payroll contrary to section 6.7.6 of the County Financial Accounting Reporting Manual. The wordings of those grounds, do you recall where else they have been picked from?
Yes, Aideen, I can report that I have I've interacted with similar wordings that have been, this motion or these wordings have been picked directly from the office, the report of Auditor General for the Meru County Executive for the year 2022, or financial year 2022-2023.
And the same report is also produced in the County Assembly Exhibit of Documents at page 347. So you confirm that you are saying that these very grounds that form part of count 3 have actually been plucked from the audit report in the same manner of wording?
Yes, the Auditor General report for the year, for the financial year 2022-2023.
So I want you to demonstrate that this audit report is not unique and doesn't raise unique issues. So people would be wondering, what is so wrong in this audit report? Are there peculiar issues in this report? So I want us to go to that report and particularly read for us the opinion of the Auditor General. This report at page 341 of the Assembly documents, volume 2, page 341. Sorry, it is at page 333. It starts at page 333 of volume 2, exhibits into support of the impeachment motion. So that is one of the major documents that has been submitted in support of the impeachment motion. But Ibrahim, I want you to go to page 341 and particularly read paragraph 2 that appears at the top of that page.
Yes, I will read. This is an opinion of the Auditor General that, in my opinion, except for the effect of the matters described in the basis for qualified opinion section of my report, the financial statements present fairly, in all material respects, the financial position of Meru County Executive as at 30th June 2023, and of its financial performance and its cash flows for the year then ended, in accordance with international public sector accounting standards, that is cash basis, and comply with the Public Finance Management Act 2012 and the County Government Act 2012.
Okay, if you remember the wordings of the impeachment motion, you recall that the motion accuses the governor of violating those very laws that the Auditor General confirms that the county executive has complied with. Is that true?
True, that is very true.
Okay, perhaps you could enlighten this House on the nature of opinions that would ordinarily be rendered pursuant to an audit report.
Oh, thank you, Honorable Speaker and the Honorable Senators. There are a number of audit opinions that an auditor may give, given the kind of a financial statement he or she has come across. One, there is unqualified report. Unqualified report means that the documents that have been provided and the financial statements do agree. Then the next is qualified report. Qualified report means that the documentation that has been provided and the financial statements do agree. However, there are just some minor items or matters within the report. Then there is adverse report. Adverse report means there are quite a number of issues that do not agree. The financial statements and also the documentation that has been provided.
Okay,
then
very well.
there is a disclaimer of opinion.
Okay, very well. Where does the opinion of the county executive fall?
It falls in the qualifying report, and I will also explain. If you go if you check the Green Book by the Auditor General for the year 2023, you will find by the county executives in Kenya, there are 47. There is no single county executive that has unqualified report. However, 41 county executives have qualified report, and 6 have adverse opinions. In our case, Meru County Executive has qualified audit opinion or audit report.
And you confirm that Meru County is not one of those 6 which have adverse opinions?
It is not among them.
And have you had a chance to also review audit reports of the County Assembly of Meru for the current year, for the previous years? Do they form the same opinion? Or
yes,
what is the nature of
I have, and Honorable Senators and Honorable Speaker, if you check also from the Green Book for the county assemblies, County Assembly of Meru is within the qualifying reports. In Kenya, there are 3 county assemblies that have unqualified reports.
Okay,
however, County Assembly of Meru is in the qualified report where the county executive of Meru is also in.
So, Ibrahim, what you are telling this House is that there is nothing unique about the report of the county executive of Meru.
There is nothing unique, and indeed, a qualifying report is, as I said, the documentation and the financial statements are agreeing.
Okay, very well. I want you to tell us what would have been the recommendation of the Auditor General if there was something so materially in breach of the law.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker and the Honorable Senators. An Auditor General, if there are particular substantive issues within, maybe within financial statements, he or she may recommend for a forensic audit. He may recommend either for a special audit, and if a county assembly committee or a Senate committee has considered those reports, may recommend for such change where there is a loss of money. They may recommend for particular, like investigative bodies to take up the matter, or they may also reprimand a certain officer for any matter, any omission or commission within the financial statements.
That satisfies it. So what you are saying is actually contained in the Public Audit Act, and I want you to just confirm that that is what you are saying at Section 53 and Section 54, and Section 37 also talks about forensic audit. So just confirm that what you are explaining is actually what is in the law.
That is very true, Council.
I want you to just confirm by looking at the Act, the Public Audit Act, Is that section 54? What does it say? We can start with section 53.
53, okay. Thank you, Honorable Speaker and the Honorable Senators. Implementation of reports by an accounting officer, that is 53.1. The relevant accounting officer of a state organ or public entity shall, within 3 months after Parliament, has considered and made recommendations on the audit report, A, take the relevant steps to implement the recommendations of Parliament in the report of the Auditor General, or B, give explanations in writing to the Parliament on why the report has not been acted upon.
Okay, just stop there. Counsel for the Assembly started when he was answering the questions before the senators. I quote him, he said, action must ensue from the audit report. How does action arise from the audit report? Is that what you're reading at section 53?
Yes, and these actions ensue from an audit report. I want to explain to Honorable Senate that an audit report by itself is not a final report. It must have, that is why a number of, the County Assembly or the Parliament must consider the recommendations or the opinion. In fact, the audit report is an opinion of the Auditor General. Why is it an opinion? It is an opinion because when the auditor was auditing the books, the time was limited. It was, in fact, the audit is just a sampling. It's not a forensic or a complete audit. So there must be an event after the audit report for a complete investigation of matters where a number of them are dropped and other issues or other matters are taken up by other institutions.
So what you're saying is that the submission of the audit report in itself is not the end of the audit process.
Indeed, it is not, and that is what this provisions is putting.
Have you ever been summoned by the County Assembly to shed light on the audit report?
For this particular audit report for the financial year 2022-2023, I have not.
Okay, very well. Let's go to the issues that have been raised in those two counts we have made reference to. There is the issue of the manual payroll. So why was there a manual payroll used for that period? Maybe you could explain very briefly what leads to the use of a manual payroll.
Honorable Speaker and Honorable Senators, a manual payroll means an individual has been paid outside the system, that is the automated system, or that is the IPPD. Okay, and so this happens.
Okay, go on.
It happens when an individual has been recruited before one is formally assigned the IPPD number, which does not end and finish with the county executive. Before he or she get that number, then he or she, for him or her to get that.
Just to cut you short, who gives the IPPD numbers?
It is given by the Directorate of Personnel Management in the Ministry of Public Service in the national government.
And have you produced evidence to show that the county executive actually actually applied for these numbers and how long it takes?
In fact, in the evidence that I have provided.
So, Honorable Senators, it is the evidence is in volume 1B of the Governor's bundle of documents from page 190, page 183 to 184. From page 183 to 194. The documents contained in those pages, what do they show in summary? Very, very briefly, what do those documents reveal?
Okay, let me begin with page 183. It's KM28. It shows a request for personal numbers by the by the Department of Public Service of the County Executive of Meru, which was done on
just
11th December
yes.
2023.
When was the response received?
Council and the honorable members of the Senate, 186, page 186, KM 29, it indicates that this response was done or came back on 19th March 2024.
So what does that time, how many months are those? Okay, was it within a very short time?
No, it wasn't a council.
Okay, so you are essentially saying that it takes time.
It takes time, and also to explain a bit further, for those, these are the newly recruited officers. For the officers that are coming from other state agencies, it may even take a year or even more time, because for them to be cleared, for instance, if that officer under mortgage with the other institution, for them to release that data, it might take even a longer time.
Okay, very well. That supports your evidence on the delay. So tell us, have you addressed this issue elsewhere?
Yes, this matter was also in the audit report for the financial year 2021-2022, where the county executive appeared before the County Public Accounts Committee of the Senate.
And did you write a response to the Senate on that very issue?
Yes, I wrote and even explained myself.
Yes, is it the response that appears on page 180 to 182 of volume 1B of the governor's documents? Page 180 to 182 of volume 1B of governor's documents. Is that the response you're talking about?
Very, very true. In fact, it begins with the invitation of it indicates.
We can leave the details, but I just wanted you to confirm that you were actually were invited to by the Public Accounts Committee of the Senate.
Absolutely, so yes.
And what is the current status? Is that an issue in Meru County as we speak?
In fact, from the information and evidence, this matter has since been resolved from the 1st of April 2024.
Okay, so, and 1st of April, that means that this issue was resolved even before the impeachment motion before this very house?
Absolutely so.
To the best of your knowledge, was the county assembly informed of this resolution of the manual payroll issue?
It wasn't, because this matter is appearing in the audit report for the financial. It's also appearing in the audit report for the financial year 2022-2023. If the Public Accounts Committee for the County Assembly, if they had invited the county executive to address these matters in the audit report, they would have certified themselves.
Okay, so you mean to say that this issue was resolved and it is the very issue that the Assembly wants the governor impeached on?
Very true.
And have you seen the issue elsewhere in the County Assembly?
Yeah, the County Assembly also, not only this matter, to explain, it's not a matter unique to only the County Executive of Meru. It is also a matter that also has appeared in the 2021-2022. If you peruse that audit report, you will find that the County Assembly of Meru and a similar issue.
Okay, so that appears at page 247 to 326 of volume 1B of the governor's documents. Now let us go to the issue of the doctors' pay. The governor has been accused of paying doctors' allowances illegally. And as you said earlier, that issue has been picked from the same audit report. Now, what was the basis of making this payment?
Thank you, Honorable Speaker and the honorable members of the Senate. This matter arose from a return to work formula over it was an issue that arose. This formula, or the return to work formula, is dated 18th April 2017. There are correspondences that are made by the Ministry of Health concerning the matter, what they resolved and what they agreed. And then the same is copied to the Council of Governors.
Okay, sorry to cut you short, but the correspondence you're talking about, is it the correspondence found in page 327 to 330 of volume 1B of Governor's documents? Is that the correspondence confirming that the county assembly, the county executive of Meru was actually within the law in making that payment?
Absolutely so.
So those are the documents that you wish to rely on to confirm that payment?
Very true.
Page 327 to 330 of volume 1B of the governor's documents. Okay, let us then move on to, but before we move on from there, so this issue that you are saying relates to payment of doctors relating to the CBA of 2017. Are you familiar with the recent developments relating to doctors' strikes and the implementation of this CBA?
Oh, okay. Let me make some explanation. It's a belief that, or it's a practice that a CBA runs for 4 years. Mm-hmm. However, if there is no other subsequent CBA, that similar CBA runs until another CBA is arrived at. The one that I'm aware of, there is in April, there was an agitation for improved remunerations to the medical field, and there was a return to work formula, and that CBA is the one that I can quote.
You are talking about the strike we saw recently.
Very true.
And the Assembly has also produced a video of doctors striking on basis of that very implementation of the CBA. Are you referring to that strike?
Yeah, the one that was agreed in April this 2024.
So do you find it in good faith that these two issues are being brought before this House to impeach the governor?
In fact, what I know, and it is an HR practice, is that once a benefit has been given or confirmed, you can't go back and retract that benefit unless it is done the same way that communication was done, or the SRC, which is a body that is taxed with the remunerations, also issues a notice. So what you would have seen is a similar communication, the way it was done to retract those benefits to the doctors.
Okay, very well. Let's go to the last issue. You have also mentioned in your affidavit that there were frustrations that the executive faced in coming up with the budget for 2024-2025. So very briefly, would you tell us why you wrote to the Controller of Budget? The letter that you wrote appears at page 344 of volume 1B, page 344, volume 1B of the governor's documents. So I want you to very briefly tell us why did you write that letter?
Okay, thank you, Honorable Speaker and Honorable Senators. I wrote this particular letter when in our budgeting process, we made a CFSP as taxed by the PFM, PFM Act 2012. We submitted to the County Assembly, which then went beyond, and it went beyond the timelines that are set by the PFM Act. It went beyond other key considerations that are set by the legal provisions. So at that particular time, that is when I wrote to the control budget seeking an advice on those issues.
Okay, so the documents you've relied upon are from page 336 to page 344. So, has the County Assembly implemented the memorandum that was arrived at between the executive, the Assembly, and the control of budget?
It is important that I give some information to this Honorable House what happened.
For the sake of time, I just want you to confirm whether, just very briefly, explain what happened after you came up with the memorandum.
Okay. After coming up with a memorandum that was negotiated between the Assembly and the County Executive, we made a budget estimate because that memorandum was supposed to inform that budget estimate. The budget estimate was submitted to the County Assembly, which they approved as per the memorandum. However, after the approval of the budget estimate, then I was supposed to make or draft an appropriation act to appropriate that budget estimate, which I submitted to the County Assembly.
So after you submitted, did the Assembly change that appropriation bill?
In fact, what the County Assembly did went against the memorandum and went against the budget estimate that they had already adopted or approved.
So are the changes they made contained in volume 1B, page 409 to 413 of the governor's response? Volume 1B, page 409 to 413. You confirm those, just briefly mention whether those are the changes that you are talking about.
In fact, these are the changes, and this you will see, it's an under paper, because I also wrote again to the control budget when I realized there's a business appearing in the under paper of the County Assembly proposing to make amendments against the proposed memorandum and against the budget estimate that the County Assembly had already
passed. Okay, very well. So just before we invite, before we let you off for the examination in chief, there were several comments made yesterday about service delivery of the governor. So can you just tell us briefly how is the governor's performance in terms of financial performance relating to development in the county?
Thank you, Honorable Speaker and Honorable members of the Senate. The performance of a governor can only be informed by the budgetary, how the governor has managed the budget through the report that has been produced by the control budget through the absorption rates. Currently, the Meru County government, this financial year, we have achieved 79% of performance in terms of budget absorption. Then, financial management. The only person who can be able to measure the performance or financial performance of a governor is the report of the Auditor General. The Auditor General's report that we have 2022-2023 confirms that the governor has transparently and prudently used utilized the finances of the funds of Meru County. Then number 3, on revenue performance, still, it's another indicator of performance. The only report that we can rely on revenue performance is a report from the Commission on Revenue Allocation. We have not seen any adverse report from the CRA. We have not seen any adverse report from the control of budget. We have also not received any adverse report. What we have is a qualifying report from the Auditor General.
Okay, that would be all for this witness. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Is that all for the witness?
Yes, Madam Speaker.
So we are proceeding on to cross-examination.
Yes, Madam Speaker. My name is Boniface Kawira. I'll not take more than 10 minutes with this witness.
You may proceed.
Mr. Ibrahim, I want to take you straight to your affidavit, the one that you have filed. Specifically, at paragraph 26. Are you there?
Yes, Council, I am.
You say it is notable that the County Assembly has also faced a similar problem. This is the issue of manual payroll, correct?
True.
For which year?
Okay. 2
Which
years.
year from the
Which
witness statement?
volume are you relying on?
That is volume 1, Madam Speaker, the governor's response.
1B or 1?
Volume 1, the response.
Volume 1. Okay.
The witness's witness statement.
Okay, proceed.
At page 33. Which years are referenced in that statement?
2020, 21, and 2021, 2022.
So was the move of the impeachment motion a member of the County Assembly then?
She wasn't, but the purpose...
She wasn't,
The purpose is to show...
Question. It's a yes, no question.
No.
She was not a member of the County Assembly.
She wasn't.
In fact, was the current Speaker of the County Assembly, was he the Speaker of the County Assembly then?
She wasn't, and the same case, from 2017, we said there were manual
Mr. Witness, just answer my questions.
And the governor was not in office then.
The governor was not in question.
Yes, this is just
but this relates to the County Assembly, correct?
It is.
Council,
Yes.
allow the witness to answer the questions.
Madam Speaker, I'll seek your guidance because this is cross-examination, and I put a yes/no question to him.
Let him respond.
He will have an opportunity during the examination to clarify anything that might arise out of cross-examination.
Proceed to respond to that question.
Okay. Council, the information relating here, it doesn't mean that this is just a background to show that this matter is not only unique to the county executive.
I appreciate that, Mr. Witness. I appreciate that, but my question is, this is for before the general elections of 2022, correct?
Correct.
And the evidence you've adduced, that is the report. You will turn with me to page 1B. The report therein also relates to the financial year 2021-2022.
For the county assembly?
Yes.
Yeah, for the 2 years.
For those 2 years?
Yes.
Before the life of the current assembly?
That is correct.
So, Mr. Ibrahim, is it your evidence then that the answer to that allegation by the governor is that one, even the county assembly did it? Because that is what I'm getting. Is that your defense?
My purpose to
produce... No question. Is that your defense? That even the county assembly did it? Is that your defense?
That is not my defense.
Okay. Let us proceed. I'll take you to the letter at page 344 of the volume 1B, the governor's volume 1B, Madam Speaker. In fact, it is page 391, Madam Speaker. That is KM 49.
What page?
Page 391. Page 391, KM 49. You say there was a budget stalemate, correct?
True.
And you say that the county assembly, because you're writing to the clerk, you say they increased the ward fund from 33 million to 45 million, correct?
Correct.
Is that the position in the appropriations bill?
Okay.
This is a yes, no question.
I need to explain this one.
It is a yes, no question. What is the amount?
The context of
Just wait for my question. Wait for my question.
Yes.
What is the amount in the appropriations bill that was passed by the county?
Currently, it is 36, and the agreed was 33. And then the context of this letter is another paper.
Wait for my
and
question.
It shows what was supposed to be done there.
Sir, can you respond to the figures you're being asked?
Currently, it's 36 million.
36 million?
Yes.
Madam Speaker, That is, the appropriations bill is in the County Assembly's documents, volume 6. Just a moment, Madam Speaker. At page 111, and I want you, Mr. Ibrahim, to confirm at page 111, the word-based development projects. What is the total amount for each of them? The last column on the far right. What is the total amount? Is it? Okay. What is the total amount? Is it not 33 million? Yes. Okay. Do you still maintain your answer that the correct amount is 36 million? Yes or no?
Okay, that's 3 million.
Okay. You concede that?
Yes.
One of the other contentions is that the County Assembly passed the appropriations bill and ignored the memorandum that was agreed at with the Office of the Controller of Budget, correct?
True.
One of the other issues you raised is that the CFSP was not passed within the necessary timelines.
It's true.
So is it your contention then, and this is a yes-no question, that if a CFSP, if the county fiscal strategy paper is not passed within the 14 days, then the executive can proceed to implement the same without the county assembly approval?
That is not so. That is why I saw an explanation or an advice from the control budget.
So even if the 14 days had lapsed, the county assembly could proceed to consider and make amendments as allowed under section 117 of the
I sought an advisory and we were guided.
So you agree then that the county assembly could still, after the 14 days, consider the CFSP and pass it with amendments?
The guidance from the control budget, there is a letter there,
it's a yes,
and
no
they
question.
have been told.
It's a yes/no question.
They were
Would
told.
the county executive proceed to implement it without county assembly approval? Yes or no?
What? Come again?
Could the county executive or the treasury that you had, correct? Could it proceed with the CFSP without county assembly approval?
No, it couldn't.
So the county assembly approval was necessary even after the lapse of 14 days.
And that is why we were advised by the control budget as the county assembly was on wrong, but we were told for us to move, it was a stalemate. We need to come and agree together.
Because the law allows that the county assembly can make amendments, correct?
In fact,
yes or no?
The law says,
and the county assembly make amendments to the CFSP.
It can make.
So
however,
what is it? Wait for my question. If the county assembly could make amendments to the CFSP, and indeed they made those amendments, why did the county executive bring those budget estimates without considering the amendments that have been done by the county assembly?
There was a contention one. That is why.
You agree there was a contention from both parties?
Yes, from both parties.
Contention by both parties.
Ours was on the timelines.
I need for my question.
Honorable members, I need to explain because this is an
You'll have an opportunity. You'll have an opportunity, Mr. Witness. A contention by both parties.
By both parties, yes.
So you will agree then that this deadlock was caused by the actions or inactions by both parties?
Majorly by the county assembly.
Granted.
You breached the county assembly breached the timelines.
Just wait for a question.
Among other provisions of the law.
Wait for my question. Do you have evidence that the entire budget for 2024-2025, the 12 billion, was subjected to public participation? Do you have that evidence in your volume?
Okay, the budget.
Yes or no?
Public participation, that is subjective.
The witness.
Do you have the evidence?
Witness, you are
Okay.
required. You are required to respond to the question he has asked. about public participation. I
Well
believe
guided.
that's one question that can be a yes or no.
Yes,
There public
there's an evidence towards that.
Point me to the evidence. Point me to that evidence in your bundle.
I think I need to be assisted, not you.
Your volume 1B, you have your volume 1B there. Point me to the evidence. That you conducted public participation for the entire 12 billion.
The county executive?
Yes.
Council, your 10 minutes are over, but you have the discretion to use more minutes from your allocated timeline of 1 hour 20 minutes.
Very well. I leave it to that for this witness, Madam Speaker. We can take the next witness. Or they can, I will lead the witness for
Do you want
exam.
more minutes?
No, I think it is okay for this witness.
Madam Speaker, I will take 2 minutes just for re-exam. Honourable Ibrahim, you have been tasked to explain the deadlock that was there between the County Assembly and the County Executive. Did you write a letter to the Controller of Budget complaining of the actions of the County Assembly?
Yes, I did.
And have you produced that letter in your bundle of documents?
Yes, in fact, in several letters, not just one.
So the letters that you said fall from page 336 to 344 of volume 1B of the governor's documents?
Yes, Council.
So was there a legal basis for you to complain to the Controller of Budget?
Yes, several. Like the timelines and other key considerations.
Now, have you detailed those complaints in your letter?
Yes, they are detailed.
And you would invite the members of this House to have a look at that letter to appreciate the basis on which you are complaining?
True, Council.
And my last question, did you experience demonstration of good faith from the Assembly after the issue was mediated by the Controller of Budget?
Yes, one is when
Did the County Assembly show good faith following the conclusion of the memorandum that you drafted, following the intervention of the Controller of Budget?
It didn't.
Why are you saying so?
Because up to the budget, we went on very well. Then immediately after the budget, when we went for the appropriation bill, that is where things turn west. Because one, they went against the memorandum, and then number two, they took along almost 2 weeks before considering that appropriation.
So you invite this House to have a look at the documents you have tendered in support of that claim, to appreciate your evidence? Okay, that would be all, Madam Speaker, for this witness. Thank you.
Thank you. So, Honourable Senators, we have this witness, and I have several requests to seek clarifications. We should use the least time to get clarifications from this witness. Senator Mutinda Tabitha Murray.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. And I wanted to really clarify, and as a speaker, I'm the Vice Chair of Finance Committee. You raised a point and said that CRA did not raise any audit issues or concerns in terms of if the audit was qualified or had any advanced reports. I mean, to your knowledge, does CRA do audit reports? Second question, did you summon the have you ever been summoned by the PAC committee? And lastly, are you a member of ISPAC by any chance? And in finality, we have the CRF, not the CRF, but the County Revenue Fund, whereby issues have been raised in terms of the composition of the committee. And clause 6 of your act of the County Revenue, the fund, indicates that there needs to be a chairperson for that committee to be able to execute its mandate. So how are funds allocated, how are funds approved without the composition correctly of the said committee? Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Witness, you will proceed to respond.
Okay, thank you, Honorable Speaker and Honorable members of the Senate. I want to clarify that I didn't say that CRA or Commission on Revenue Allocation ought to have made a report maybe on audit to say whether there was an adverse or not. What I said is Commission on Revenue Allocation makes reports on performance on revenue, whether a county has performed fairly or is the potential is its performance in terms of revenue, but not audit. So what I said is the performance of revenue collection can be well indicated or shown by the reports from the Commission on Revenue Allocation, because once in a while they say that County X did not meet its revenue thresholds or it performed poorly. However, it is not an OAG report. It's a report from the Commission on Revenue Allocation, and it is available on the Commission's website and portal. Then, number 2, whether I've ever been invited by the audit committee. The PAC committee, the County Public Accounts Committee of the Senate, yes, invited us in, not very sure, but July, and we appeared. In July, we appeared, and on the audit of 2021-2022, I appeared. Then, yes, I'm a member of ISPAC. I'm a member in good studying. Okay. The transfer to the Meru County Revenue Authority, that transfer, the money that is transferred to that board, it is from the main revenue of the county after that money has been budgeted and has been approved. And that still money is also audited by the Auditor General on its prudence and how how it has been accounted for. So it is transferred from the Meru County revenue to revenue allocation to that to maintain its operations, because the authority is supposed to be self-sustaining. However, at the moment it isn't, so we transfer some money to the board. Yes.
Senator Wambua Enokio, what's your intervention?
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I have two very quick interventions. One, just for clarity. Witness said at some point things turned west. I would want to understand when the things turned west, where are they heading? What you say there is the only thing that we can use to make a decision. So I would want clarification when things turned west. Where are they going? Secondly, Madam Speaker, more substantively, there has been reference to the auditor report of 2022-2023. And the witness did well when he made reference to Article 2298 on the processing of auditor reports. That those reports cannot be used as material evidence in any proceeding until and unless they are considered by the Assembly and Parliament. But then he went ahead and made serious submissions on the basis of the audit report of 2022-2023. So where should we stand? Should we stand on the basis that we cannot make reference to 2022-2023, and in which case then dismiss everything that you have said about your standing, or should we take what you have said as part of evidence in these proceedings?
Respond, witness.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker and honorable members. My reference to things standing west is in relation to the budgeting process, because we had a negotiating team that was that was superintended by the the Office of the Control Budget, and one of the recommendations she had made is, after coming up with a memorandum, that memorandum becomes or forms the basis of our budget making. So that is where things, that is in as far as the budget making process is concerned. That is where I've said things stand west. Then I've referred to Auditor General report. Okay, to Auditor General's report 2022-2023, I'm not saying that it should not be referred to. What I'm only saying is, for this matter that is before the Senate on impeachment, if it would have been addressed in the committee of the PAC of the County Assembly of Meru, a number of things like manual payroll would not have found itself here. Because in that committee, we would have explained what we've done and the materiality of that matter, because we would have explained that this money that was paid through the manual payroll is money that has been budgeted, money that has been requisited to the control budget, and money that has been paid to individuals. It is not money that has found its way to other people, but you could even find the bank account. So it's not a material thing that should have even brought even an HR person to be reprimanded because of that, because it is a matter that is not so material. However, that is how I have referred to the Auditor General. So a report, I have not said shouldn't be referred, but for an impeachment motion, I think if this matter was addressed at the PAC committee, they would even have gotten more information and more materials to support or not to support.
Senator Chirarike Samson Kiprotich.
Madam Speaker, and I request the witness to be very brief. Mr. Witness, CPA, what is your ISPAC number? Number one. Number two, when you say CPA is 4 years, what is the legal authority or the policy of labor relations to give weight for you to say it stands 4 years? Number three, you have said that the spending of doctors' payment was within the legal authority and the CPA. My question is, how much was the budget in that financial year? If it was not there as a CPA, you know if there is a reallocation as the PMF Act envisages, whether that reallocation was sought. And number three, whether supplementary budget was sought to effect those changes. And finally, in 1B, the memo that you are provided is unsigned. It is signed by only the chair. So how can we trust in this volume 1B, Madam Speaker, that memo that had been signed, the engagement, the part of secretary and chairman is not signed, nor is it stamped? Is it an authentic document that you will want to present to this House for proper consideration, considering that what the House is considering, Madam Speaker, is a very serious issue? Madam Speaker, if you can answer those 4 questions, I'll be grateful.
You may proceed to answer those questions.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker and the honorable members of the Senate. My reference to Simbie for years, I may not authoritatively quote it, but I know it has been it has been termed from HR quarters. I'm not an HR expert. I want to say that, but it has been always saying that a CBA runs for 4 years. That is what but I'm not an HR expert. Yes. Then legal authority on the legal authority of payment of that allowance or the medical allowances that have been awarded after the CBA. This Honorable Speaker and the members, this payment has not been done only in 2022, 2023. It began from 2017. So, honorable members, when that expenditure was introduced to the budget, that is when it accrued on the budget. So even in the forthcoming years, it has been incorporated into the budget. So it didn't require a supplementary budget last financial year because it is a payment that was confirmed from 2017. So it has always been there. It has been provided within the budget. The memo on the 1B, I want to say, authoritatively, I want to own that memo. It is authentic. That memo is authentic.
Senator Danson Mungatana.
So, Mr. Speaker,
to the witness, just hold on, Senator Danson.
Yes.
1 minute. There was a question on your ISPAC registration.
Oh, yeah. My ISPAC registration is 10955.
Senator Danson Mungatana.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I was seeking clarification from the witness. I was listening to you when the question was put to you on the financial performance of Meru County. And I heard you say the Auditor General has given a report saying that it is an unqualified opinion. Therefore, it is good. I want you to clarify to me, is the Auditor General the only way, as a professional, that you would measure the financial performance of Meru County? I wanted to know, isn't budget execution, things like, performance, finishing on the projects and stuff like that, that would amount to good financial performance? And if so, please answer that question, because it will help us to make some decisions. I submit, Madam Chair.
Proceed, witness, to answer that question.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker and members. Yes, budget execution. Okay, Auditor General report is not the only way, but it's the surest way. Where this one, it takes away every doubt, and that is why most of issues relating to financial management, there are recommendations that there be a special audit, that there be an audit carried out to find out. However, even the budget execution is one way to measure financial performance, and that is why in my response I said that the controller of budget report on a budget in our budget appropriation or on budget execution, it is indicating that we are doing the county government of Meru is performing well in terms of budget execution at 79%. I think that is good. Then another indicator of a good financial performance is paying, like we are talking about payment of allowances to doctors. If a county is performing poorly financially, we would not be able to pay those allowances, but what we would be seeing is a protest on the roads, doctors protesting for a CBA that was agreed in 2017.
Those are all the requests we had on the board, so we can move to, it's not showing. Senator Kisang, you can proceed, but his name is not showing on the board. Clerk, check your system.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I don't know why my name is not showing there and it's on this side. Madam Speaker, I wanted to put to the witness, I don't know whether it's him or who, because I want to put something on the audited report for 2022-23, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, as a member of CIPIC, I also know as Gerald Gay is a member of CIPAC. Normally what happens is when the Auditor General signs the report, the oversight committees of both the county assemblies and Senate and National Assembly, they go through the reports to verify, and if there are any additional issues that are required, then we recommend to EACC or other government bodies to investigate. So I'm wondering, I wanted to find out from the witness, were you called by the CIPAC and CIPIC committees of the County Assembly of Meru before they met this particular audit query and impeachment issue?
Proceed.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker and honorable members of the Senate. I want to confirm and say that on the specific of audit 2022-2023, the County Assembly Committee on Public Accounts and Investment has not invited us.
That is all for this witness now. There are no more clarifications from the senators. I hope there is no senator who's been left out. So County Assembly can call in the next witness. Sorry, it's the county executive team that is calling in the next witness.
Madam Speaker and honorable members, our next witness is Dickson Munene Nkanata. Thank
you. Dickson Munene, where are you? County executive team, where is your witness?
I, Dickson Monene Nkanata,
do solemnly swear that the evidence that I shall give before this Senate in respect of the matters before the Senate shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. So help me God.
Madam Speaker, for the record, my name is Edgar Busiega. I've been variously referred to as Busienga. I'll wish to correct the record to reflect Busiega. Thank you.
You may proceed, Councillor Busiega.
Kindly introduce yourself.
Madam Speaker, Honorable Senate, my name is Dixon Monenen Kanata. I am the CC in charge of Legal Affairs, Public Service Management and Administration in the County Government of Meru. I am also an advocate by profession.
Thank you, Mr. Munene. I'll refer to you as such. Starting from where you have stopped, indicate to this Honorable House, you've practiced law for how many years?
Madam Speaker, Honorable Senators, this is my 11th year of practice as an advocate. I was admitted in 2014. My personal number is P10507 of 2014.
Thank you.
Senator Chiradike, what is your intervention?
Madam Speaker, perhaps if you could freeze the time during the intervention.
Your time is frozen anytime there is an intervention. Can you give the mic to Senator Chiradike?
Madam Speaker, understanding 104 on the declaration of interest, I don't know how will this one proceed because Council Busieka and Council Munena and myself were in the same class. So is it in order that the council and the witness should have declared the interest before proceeding so that the House is cognizant of the fact?
Senator Chiradike, I believe you must be out of order because many of us were in class with so many other senators and many other people who are appearing. Unless you have special interests like being common shareholders within a company or other interests beyond going to school together. That's the only time you can then, unless you have very serious interests that go into legal, proprietary, or other definable interests in law, that would then bring the team together in such a manner that they've been resolving issues in a way that would influence their judgment in these proceedings. Otherwise, if it's just going to class together, many people have been in school together. So I will overrule that objection. Or do you have any other interests you want to disclose beyond going to school together? I have overruled just attending the same school or the same class as a common interest that would cause influence on the decision that will be made, unless there is another special interest that then would influence the decision of the senator especially. What is your point of information? Senator Meru, is there another point of information which is relevant and will not take away our minutes? We have very short time.
In fact, Madam Speaker, because I know we are very constrained of time, Senator Chiradike was selective, and that's why he never referred and read the Standing Order 104. It is very specific that a senator who wishes to speak on any matter in which a senator has pecuniary or proprietary interest shall first declare the interest. So I don't think going to school together is pecuniary or is proprietary, and I don't even think the witness before us is a senator. The Standing Order 104 is for a senator who wishes to speak on a matter. So the standing order that he quoted is irrelevant. I'm sure he just wanted us to know that he went to school with the brilliant fellas, but that is now water under the bridge.
Thank you. Though presumably it comes late after I had given a direction, but that suffices to close out that issue. Let's proceed on with the witness counsel.
Mr. Munene, you saw an affidavit on 16th of August this year, correct?
That is true.
Would you wish to rely on the same as your evidence before this House?
I would wish to rely on the same, Madam Speaker, Honourable Senators.
Okay. Now, the first issue is on, as the subject of impeachment, is on what we call illegal revocation of one CPA, Virginia Kawira. Did Virginia have the requisite qualifications at the point of appointment?
Thank you, Honourable Speaker. On the issue, the governor has been accused of illegally revoking the appointment of CPA Virginia Kawira Miriti as the Secretary/CEO of the County Public Service Board. I'm aware that the governor revoked the appointment of CPA Virginia Kawira by virtue of the fact that she is still a public officer, and this is an issue that offended section 58, subsection 3B of the County Government Act. It was an expectation that after the nomination and approval of CPA Virginia Kawira by the County Assembly, before she took appointment, she should have resigned so that she doesn't own two offices, and so that she qualifies by virtue of that section 58(3)(b) of the County Government Act. I'm also aware that this decision of the governor was informed by the legal advice that she received, both from myself, with the background of law, being the CC in charge of legal affairs, and the only CC who is an advocate by profession in that cabinet, and also from her legal advisor.
Based on what you've just informed this House, you are aware that the legal advisor was before this House yesterday?
Yes, Madam Speaker, I am aware that the legal advisor was before this House yesterday. I'm aware that the legal advisor disowned the internal memo that is which is appearing on page 11 and 12 of the volume 1B of the governor's documents. I'm also aware that the legal advisor, that is the former legal advisor, has since been, employment has since been terminated by the governor. And I'm aware of the circumstances under which the termination of our employment was done. I'm aware that there is a pending case between the legal advisor, the former legal advisor, and the governor in the Employment and Labor Relations Court. And I'm aware that the former legal advisor is represented by the firm of Ngwele and Company Advocates, which is the same firm that is representing the county public, the CEO of the County Public Service Board, that is Virginia Kawira. I'm aware they share the same advocate. I'm aware that in the documents filed in court by the former legal advisor, the Saint Virginia Kawira appears as the Linda Kiome's witness. So I would not be surprised that Linda Kiome would disown such an advice that she gave while still in office.
Thank you. Will you confirm unequivocally whether she ever consulted you or shared with you this letter prior to tendering to Her Excellency the Governor?
Yes, I confirm that we discussed the issue. I confirm that she delivered the letter to myself, which I delivered it to the governor. Yes, and I can confirm that thereafter, the governor did a letter of termination, and the response, there was an advisory from the chairperson of the Meru County Public Service Board in reference to that revocation. Linda Kiome was not available to advise the governor on how to respond to such. I'm aware that we agreed that I look at the documents since we had discussed over this issue, and I advised the governor on how to respond to the response from Julius Kainga Mitu, the County Public Service Board Chair. I'm aware that the governor did this letter between pinch 13 to that running 13, 14, and 15.
Honorable Senators, it's now 1 p.m. and I want first of all to notify the governor's team of their remaining time, which is 1 hour, 55 minutes out of the total time of 2 hours, 40 minutes. This will be reflected in the supplementary order paper that will be printed for the afternoon session. The county assembly team will have 1 hour, 10 minutes out of their total time of 1 hour, 20 minutes. Honorable Senators, the session in the afternoon will resume at 2 p.m., not 2:30 p.m. So, Honorable Senators, it's now 1 p.m., time to adjourn the Senate. The Senate therefore stands adjourned until later today, Tuesday, 20th August 2024, at 2 p.m.
Sasa ninafikiri utanipatia hiyo